Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at you with the OSL Finals from 2007. And I am so stoked to be here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are as hyped as I am. This is going to be an absolutely amazing match. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here on the bridge of the battlecruiser Hyperion, and we are here to witness an epic battle. We have just gotten word we're here on an observational mission. You've heard of the Queen of Zerg. The King of Zerg, ladies and gentlemen, Jaedong, has amassed a massive Zerg army, and he's going after the Protoss. But none other than Stork, Songbyung-gu, one of the greatest commanders the Protoss have ever had, is there to defend. And we're here to watch their match live for the faux OSL Finals. If you guys are watching this video later on, either as a VOD or on YouTube, this is being casted live. We're going to be doing everything live, but these are recordings from 13 years ago. So again, if you guys are here to start off with, just a reminder, if you know what happened, that's great. A lot of people are going to know what happened because you've seen this before because it's not new, but try not to spoil it for those of the people that are here that haven't seen it before. So anyway, this is going to be super, super awesome. I'm very, very excited. I'm wearing my WCG USA shirt, by the way, from 2008, from the time that Diggity and I, and along with Psionic Reaver, casted the USA Finals. That was pretty awesome. There's a whole bunch of stories I could tell about that, but it was a bit of a... Well, it was when esports was relatively new and not everyone knew exactly what they were doing. So anyway, we're going to get into this match here pretty quick. I want to go over a few things beforehand, though. So let's go ahead and cut on over to learn some more information about our players that we have going on here. And we're going to have Jaedong versus Stork. I'm really excited about this. Let's talk about where these players were in terms of what their situation was when this game happened. Obviously, these two players have become legendary in the years since, but this was kind of the beginning of the the golden age of StarCraft, of Brood War, competitive Brood War play. So these guys were not necessarily legends yet. Let's take a look at Jaedong's information here. His Zerg versus Protoss up to date of this game was only 50%. He was actually not that fantastic as far as his stats go. At this point in time, remember, this was actually his first OSL. This is the first OSL that he qualified for, and he actually only like a couple months prior to this series qualified for the MSL for the first time. So this is like the beginning of Jaedong, basically. So it's like, are we going to see him in full power right out the gate, or are we going to see him still have to kind of work up? A lot of the players that have become legends, we've been seeing a lot of their old games back from 2003, 4, 5 or something like that, and they took a little bit to ramp up sometimes. But sometimes players just explode onto the scene. So we'll have to see. He did defeat Light and Up Magic, who were two decent Terrans on his way to the finals of this tournament. But again, he hasn't really faced a significant Protoss in this series, or in this championship, I guess. Now he did get first place in the Seoul Esports Festival, which was kind of like a show match type thing that that they did. I actually got to participate in the Seoul Esports Festival in like 2011 or something like that. I was the English host for it, and that was pretty cool. It's a really interesting thing, but it's more of a show match situation. It's not super competitive, but Jaedong did qualify and got in there and won it, and he actually beat Stork in that series, or in that tournament. He also beat Jangbi as well, and although Jangbi was not really like a super monster yet at that point either, so something to look forward to. We'll have to see if he's going to be doing well in this series. Stork, on the other hand, again, not the best Protoss versus Zerg. Just a little over 50% is his win rate at this point in time, and both of these guys by the end of their careers, though, that percentage had gone up, but at this point in time, that's where they were. Now Stork, on the other hand, had pretty much the hardest road you could think of to get to this point. He defeated Flash and Bisu. He defeated the best Terran, the best Protoss other than himself, to get to the finals. And now here he is against potentially the best Zerg in the finals. So this is his chance to prove that he can the best of all three matchups. And Stork is coming off some actual decent accomplishments so far. He has basically gotten a placement in most of the major tournaments in 2007. This series is being played in December of 2007. So Stork has he got third place in the DOM OSL, the first OSL that he entered into. He got second in the GOM MSL and second in WCG Korea. So very, very nicely done by him. And Jaedong actually didn't qualify for WCG Korea. He was beaten in the qualifications by Jelizerg, which is very interesting, who I think went on to do well in that tournament. So that's kind of where these guys stand right now. And looking at these guys' performance, even though it's kind of new in Jaedong's career, they have faced off before. In the Pro League, several months beforehand, they faced off in the Ace match, and I actually casted that game the other day. Stork actually beat Jaedong very, very handily in that game. It just looked like a professional versus a new player, and that's kind of what the situation was. In the Seoul Esports Festival, Jaedong beat Stork 2-1 in a series. So Stork took a game off of him, but Jaedong did win. And then they actually played each other. I didn't realize this. They played each other in the group stage. So they had played in the group stage, and they both got out of the same group with the 2-1 score and made it on to all the way through the bracket. So these guys have played each other before, and Stork has a little bit of an edge when it comes to their games that they've played before against each other. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. We've got Stork, who is really showing himself to be one of the strongest Protoss players throughout all of 2007, and we've got Jaedong, the upstart, who we know will eventually become a legend, but he is not one yet, and that's the matchup that we're facing today. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other information about this matchup. We're going to go ahead and switch over to the maps. We're going to take a look at some of the map. Oops. I got this set up wrong. Oops. There we go. All right. Sorry. Didn't have everything set up properly. Okay. So these are the maps that we're going to have in this matchup. The first map is going to be Persona. Second is Katrina. Fantasy 2 is the fourth map. Third map, Blue Storm, is the fourth map. And Persona will again be the last map if we get to a fifth game. So that's basically what we're going to be looking at. Let's go ahead and take a look at each of the maps real quick. The first map is going to be... do I do this right? There we go. First map is going to be Persona. Now, this is a relatively new map. It's only been played in this OSL. And there's only been a couple games on it that I think were in the qualifiers. So there's not really a lot to know about this matchup based on this map, just from what we've seen so far. But this is the map that Stork and Jaedong played in the group stage. And Stork beat Jaedong on this map in the group stage. So we're going to see how that goes. And something interesting about this map, we've got 4 spawns on it. This is the map with the permanent dark swarms, which is a really interesting mechanic. And I guess they decided that they didn't like that mechanic or something, because this map was retired immediately after this OSL. It was only played on a handful of games. But there's a high ground natural. So kind of like there's a little, you can actually see there's a small choke in between the main and the natural, so you can easily defend your main if you want to do something early, and then down into the natural expansion, and then there's a wide ramp leading it from the natural expansion out into the rest of the map, and the rest of the map is a bit wonky. There's kind of weird expansions all over the place, and there's dark swarms on the mineral lines of most of the expansions, which is kind of a weird situation to find ourselves in. So anyway, let's go ahead and yeah, I guess let's go ahead and get into game number 1. We can go back, I'll talk about these other maps a little bit later, and we will check them out another time. And I think I just want to go ahead and get started. So let's get into game number 1 of the 2007 ever OSL Finals. Let's get into the game, and let's see if I can switch over to, there we go. Here we go, game number 1 of Stork versus Jaedong, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are excited as I am. I am super stoked. Oh, oh my gosh, I need to change the stream info real quick. I can't believe I forgot that. Thanks for letting me know in chat. Alright, and I should probably change it from just chatting to StarCraft as well, right? Okay. StarCraft. Got it. Done. Thank you, guys. Alright, so here we have them. Jaedong on the left, Stork on the right. Both looking a little bit concerned. I remember watching the intro of them when they were playing against each other for their group stage match, I think it was. And they were just like typing to each other in the chat beforehand and having a good time and smiling. No smiles today, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing but focus for these two gentlemen as they head into game number 1 of what is possibly a deciding match in both of their careers. Jaedong trying to prove himself and Stork also trying to prove himself in a very different way. Here we go, game number 1. Let's get started. Alright, here we go. At the left side of the map, we're going to have none other than Jaedong is going to be the yellow Zerg. There he is, the Destroyer. And on the bottom right-hand side of the map, or I guess bottom middle, it's going to have Stork. He's going to be the kind of a yellow Protoss. Luckily, they're different races because it will be kind of similar colors. Be hard to tell. But, yeah, so this is a 4-player map. So we're going to have, it makes it a little bit more difficult to scout, especially for the Zerg player. Usually if it's a smaller map or if you scout the right direction. Because it's kind of unfortunate that Jaedong is actually going the wrong direction with his first Overlord. I mean, it makes sense. I wouldn't say it's the wrong direction, actually, because his second Overlord can then go towards the bottom right. And then he can still kind of scout the top and the bottom at the same time, essentially, and get a good scout in. It's a 2 out of 3 chance that he doesn't have to be completely in the dark as it goes later on. But it is a 4-spawn map. It's a little bit difficult to get to different spawn locations, so we might even see Jaedong go out with a drone scout or something along those lines. And we do see him actually going for a spawning pool first. Okay, well this is interesting. Spawning pool first, and Stork is going to get in with his probe, and he's going to scout this, which is very, very important. It looks like he's gone for a 9 pool. Or possibly an overpool, it looks like. I didn't catch the exact timing of that. But he's going for a very early spawning pool. And this is interesting because this map is very easy for Stork to defend his natural, for Stork to defend his main, rather. But it's very difficult to defend the natural, and I think that's the point. Oh, nice! Stork getting down a pylon to block that expansion, and so it's gonna do, oh man, that is so huge actually for Stork, because it's gonna block the drone from getting out to make an expansion. And I think Jaedong might have actually should have seen that coming. Is he gonna do another pylon block? He is. So he's canceled it and then made another one, and this is buying tons of time for Stork. This is great because it's blocking the expansion, but it's also gonna block these Zerglings for a moment. They're not gonna be able to get out of the base in time to really run across the map and do a ton of damage. So this is a huge, I mean, it's a little bit cheesy, but it's just a really, really smart move for Stork. And he actually canceled. Oh! I'm just wrong. The Zerglings can get by that pylon. So it was blocking the drone, but not the Zerglings. JK. Never mind. Take back everything I've said for the last 6 minutes. No. Anyway, he's still going to be able to block that expansion, though. He was still slowed down this expansion a lot. And he's going to put another pylon down in the natural to make sure that Jaedong can't get a good expansion there either. Wouldn't be surprised if he just puts a macro hatch like near that. But in any case, we're gonna have to worry about Stork getting overrun here because there are 6, possibly 8 Zerglings. 6 Zerglings running through into the natural expansion, and they have this dark swarm to hide underneath if they get attacked by, well, I guess that's not really he's not worried about Dragoons right now. But yeah, so this is Stork under a little bit of siege, but I believe that we're gonna, oh, look at that. He's actually able to run under the Dark Swarm to dodge the cannon fire. I believe that doesn't actually land if you get underneath the Dark Swarm before the shot actually lands, so that's kind of interesting. Very cute. But I think Stork's gonna be safe. You can see he's lined up some probes to block, so if the Zerglings try and run by into his main base, which would be a really good move if Stork wasn't blocking, because once he gets by those 2 cannons, he maybe loses 1 or 2 lings getting by the cannons, and then he can do so much damage in the main. Stork has now put down a Nexus as well in that natural expansion, but we're seeing Jaedong putting out a fair amount of Zerglings. He's probably getting Zergling speed as well, given the fact that he's been mining gas for a little while. Is Stork going to be able to block this? He's got the core, Cybernetics core, in a good spot to block as well, but I think he needs a little bit more of a blockade there. He still needs to worry about these Zerglings running in. Jaedong has been making more Zerglings, and there's the Zealot to close the gap and fight some additional battles as well. And one of the Zerglings does go down as he pokes in, just trying to see what he can do. But I think Stork has basically kind of held this. Like, I don't think he has to worry right now. Stargate going down as well. In the natural expansion, it's an interesting location. It might be just because that's where all of his pylons are. He built his initial pylon out in front, and I thought he had a second pylon in his base, but maybe not. But in any case, he's building all of his tech out here. It does a little bit more to block that cannon as well. So if he tried to run in with a bunch of Zerglings, the Zerglings could only surround it on basically one side, and you know, you can only get 3 or 4 Zerglings essentially on that cannon, with the Stargate blocking an entire side of that cannon. So that's a good, smart move on that sense. And you know, I don't think it's going to be any bit of a problem in the long run. But this is interesting. So Jaedong has the Hydro Sten out, and he is actually just going for a lot of units. He's got a decent amount of Zerglings. He's got Hydralisks on the map as well. Is he going to go for a bust here? Now, Stork is actually moving out on the map with a few Zealots, and the Zealots, of course, can attack under Darkstorm, so he was harassing the Zerglings with them. He's hiding the Hydralisks, ladies and gentlemen. He's hiding the Hydralisks away from Stork. Stork does not see this coming. He's engaging the Zealots with the Zerglings. I think he's trying to fight them off before they get to his main base, so he doesn't see what's going on, but he does see one Hydralisk. I don't know if he saw it, actually. He would have been paying attention at that exact moment, and Stork is in a little bit of danger here and he's putting down another cannon, so I think he knows exactly what's going on. You see the Samsung coach there in the audience looking on with consternation. The Corsair is out attacking Overlords, but there are already several Hydralisks on the map. Could this be a bust? If he has a decent amount of Hydralisks, he can go in and just basically tear down that wall. But in the meantime, he's going to get supply blocked. Okay, and that's kind of what I was thinking. We saw the lair, and we saw only a limited number of Hydralisks, and we didn't see him making additional Hydralisks. So this is actually a lurker, quick lurker rush as well. I think that was Jaedong's mom, by the way, that they just showed for a moment there. And I wonder if she knows what's going on, by the way. That'd be interesting to, like, does she know enough about StarCraft to, like, understand the situation? Those lurkers don't need defilers, ladies and gentlemen. They've got a free Dark Swarm. And that is, I think, why Jaedong has chosen this, and hold that thought, he's going in for the attack. A lot of Zerglings coming in. The lurkers are burrowing. Can he kill off those cannons before they're killed off as well? There's a lot of cannons there, so I think the lurkers are going to have to fall back. But crucially, he has killed off the one cannon on one side. Is he going to be able to get into a position where the cannons cannot get vision? And he does. Can he kill the last cannon, though? He needs to kill the last cannon. No! The lurker goes down. The lurker goes down before it kills the cannon. He never lost vision. And now there's 4 Corsairs out just absolutely destroying all of Jaedong's supply. We can't see his supply right now, but I don't see any Overlords on the map. There is one. I think Jaedong is just doomed at this point. This is just terrible situation for Jaedong. Wow. I don't know what to say here. He's just got like nothing. Okay, he did get a few Hydralisks out, so he's gonna be able to protect his Overlords. And never mind, there's the GG. He's just like, I'm supply blocked. There's you know, not a lot I can do at this point. And Stork just taking the game in good fashion. And I think you know, Stork did really well that game. But I think it also just came down to the fact that we had a build that Jaedong tried to use on this map that was a specific build for this map, and it just didn't quite work. And so Stork's going to take game number 1. And now they're 4-2 in their career against each other. So very, very nicely played by Stork. I mean, Jaedong, I like the idea. You go in with a few lurkers, and if he could have just taken out the cannons, if Stork Sim City had not been as elegant as it was, if he'd been able to take out those cannons quickly, you know, or even just taking out the cannons on the left, right? If he'd taken out the cannons on the left and then burrowed on the left side like he tried to do, then his lurkers would not have, there wouldn't have been any vision on the lurkers. Stork was nowhere near robotics tech to get observers to spot them, and he would have completely neutralized the natural expansion, and I believe he actually would have been able to kill off the Nexus as well over time. Yeah, that would have been really clutch strategy, but didn't quite work out. Basically, Stork scouted it. He kept his scouting probe alive in Jaedong's base for a long time, so he was able to kind of see what was going on a lot of the time. But I think he just made the call and said, okay, you know what? I'm worried about a bust here. I'm going to build more cannons. He built a few more cannons in the right locations, and that was all he needed to do. So anyway, we're gonna, I guess, get into game number 2 here in just a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can pull up the maps screen again. We could check out the maps that are going on. And hold on just one second. I need to queue something up here. Wait a second. Wait, hold on a minute. We got something else going on here, and hopefully it's gonna work.
Hopefully it'll work.
Hopefully it worked. Wait, who's that? Who do we have on the line? Is that Diggity SC?
It is I.
It is Diggity
SC! To get away from my daughter in the background noise.
Welcome, Diggity. How's it going? We got a call from Diggity here, and we're gonna switch over just so we can chat with him. Diggity looks a lot like the talking
audio
robot.
Still works. We'll have to stand close to the house. I might have to stand close outside. I'm just picking up outside. Yeah, I'm actually standing outside my garage. Last night we tested this, and it worked out to my car. Right now, for whatever reason, my headphones are doing it. I'm literally having to stand up. This kind of reminds me, was this the cast that you did from your car? Like, there was a cast that Moltrap did back in the day where he drove to UC Davis to use their free Wi-Fi to cast it from his car.
I was paying a lot of money for that Wi-Fi, actually, because I'm still paying off the loans from that Wi-Fi because I was going to grad school there. Yeah, it's funny because that's actually something that people bring up a lot to this day, is they're like, oh, Moltrap, I remember your car cast. But yeah, because my internet at my apartment sucked so badly that I couldn't cast from it, but it was like a finals. It wasn't this finals. It was a different finals later on. But it was a finals that I really wanted to cast, and so I drove, and the building was closed. Well, actually, I had a key to the building, but like other people might have been in there, even though it was middle of the night, and so I thought it'd be really awkward to be like screaming at my computer in the computer lab in the middle of the night. So I just like I didn't want to like get interrupted and be told to leave, and so I just basically was in my car, parked outside of the building so I could still access the Wi-Fi. Yeah, so this does remind me of those days a little bit, the old school casts.
Yeah, speaking of reminding of days, man, watching that first game again, it just brings back all the old emotions of watching it the first time.
Yeah. Now, do you remember? You probably remember what happened here, but I think you were saying that you kind of remembered what you felt like going into this match, right? So what were you thinking before this match, without spoiling anything for people that haven't seen it?
So let's talk about not spoiling everything. So Stork is one of the guys who got me into StarCraft. It was Stork and Nada were the VOD. So basically, Klazart started doing his thing. You were like, hey, check out Klazart. So I checked out Klazart, and then I was addicted. And then I started looking for a bunch of other games on YouTube. And the ones I could find in Korean were with Stork and with Klazart, with Stork and with Nada. And I saw the entire Samsung suit and whatever not. And that was the one where I'm like, oh man, I gotta watch these guys. And so I tried to find every Stork video I possibly could. So I was a big Stork fanboy going into this. I really wanted him to win this series.
How can you not be a Stork fanboy, right?
Really wanted him to win this, particularly because I guess I should. Am I okay spoiling the fact that at some point, I won't say whether it's here or not, at some point.
We've already discussed the fact that both of these players by the end of their careers are effing legends. So
yes, they're legends.
We know they go places. That's like impossible to
I will say, in the moment, in my heart, I want this to be his first gold. I want that to be the one. And also, Jaedong, like, he was kind of somewhat an unknown entity. He was definitely a strong player in 2006. But keep in mind, he wasn't Jaedong with a capital J. He wasn't the guy where he didn't have the title Tyrant yet. He hadn't really established himself as the king of Zerg. This was really the person who you thought of the strongest Zerg at this point is still Savior. So he's still an unknown entity, and particularly looking at game one right there and knowing the meta and knowing that Stork took that game so handily, I was definitely thinking, yeah, Stork's going to win this. He's got it, no problem. And you'll have to keep watching if you haven't seen spoilers already.
Nice.
To see whether that happens or not.
Yeah. Super cool. By the way, yeah, let's give a shout out to Cholera. My man Smiley is saying that Cholera is one of also the early guys that got him into watching StarCraft videos. So that's pretty cool. And I actually met Smiley through StarCraft. So StarCraft, a place for friends. And also shout out to 80s Mullet. Thanks for the raid, man. That's awesome. Hope if all of you 80s Mullet folks are here. If you're just joining us, we're doing a fake live cast of the OSL Finals from 2007. So, Diggity, my first special guest of the evening. You want to tell everyone what you've been up to, or are you up to anything interesting, doing any of the StarCraft stuff lately, or are you just chilling? And what's your life like right now?
My life is a little crazy right now. I've got a four-year-old daughter that I'm currently hiding from, so that she doesn't get audio in the background. And
Diggity's a hide-and-go-seek champion.
Hide-and-go-seek, yeah. For a while, part of the reason I dropped out of casting is his work just got very, very busy. Right now, work has been less busy, mostly because it's very difficult to program with a toddler in the house. But if you guys hang around ASL, BSL, Orthosis, 80s Mullet, Sham2, or I guess Shamato is what he prefers, whatever you call it. Everyone calls him Sham2. Basically, if you watch Brood War streams, and popular Brood War streams, I'm hanging out in chat there.
Yeah, you're in a lot of the streams, man. Cool. All right. Well, you got any other thing else you want to talk about or shout out or anything before we move on to game number 2 for this series?
And shout out all the old names in chat here, like Smiley and Rayman and everybody.
Yeah.
And I guess if people are, looks like Rayman, fellow coder, if you want to see my coding project, you can go ahead and go to GitHub DiggitySC, and you can see how productive or unproductive or how skilled or unskilled at programming you want to think I am.
Nice.
That's where I'm doing my current thing. If you want to contribute, it is an open source project. Feel free. But otherwise, guys, enjoy the show.
Cool. All right, let's see if I can get this hotkey right for this transition. There we go. All right, thank you very much, Diggity. All right, we're going to sign off the view screen, and we're going to go back to talking about the map for game number 2. Thanks, Diggity. If you want to join back in later, just shoot me a message, and we'll chat again later.
Sounds good.
All right, take care, man. All right, here we go. Let's get back into this, and we'll get into game number 2 of the finals. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and turn this off, and we'll go to game number 2, which is on Katrina. Let's check out map 2. Katrina is going to be very interesting because it is a Zerg versus Protoss nightmare. At the time of this game, the percentage was actually 29%. Later, it would go up to 40%, but that's still pretty bad for map balance goes. Katrina is, yeah. Well, let's take a closer look at that as well. So Katrina has 4 spawns also. As you can see, this is the one where there's like a wide ramp right next to your main, and your natural expansion is like behind it, and behind a long ridge basically. So it's up on the same area. So it's very easy to protect on the ground. It's a little bit difficult to protect via the air. And the main ramp is very wide, and the area around it is very wide. There's a kind of a neutral building in the way to make it a little bit easier to wall off, but it's kind of difficult to protect. This is a rotationally symmetrical map. I don't even remember. I think it was Cholera for some reason, but someone that I used to watch or used to know used to love the term rotational symmetry, and they used to mention it every time on this map, I think. So I don't know if I'm just tripping or something like that. But yeah, it's it's basically, it means it's symmetrical in a spiral. And this is a really famous map. We've seen a lot of good games on this map, you know. Actually, another Jaedong game, the Jaedong versus Flash game, was played on this map, where Flash was like, guess what? Guess what, folks? Mech is back. Mech is back versus Zerg. I'm going to show you all how it's done. That was on this map as well, so this is a good map. And yeah, named in poor taste. It's named Katrina. It was named Katrina because it's shaped like a swirling hurricane, like shortly after like hundreds of people died and thousands of people lost their livelihoods in Hurricane Katrina. And they're like, you know what? That'd be a fun name for a map, right? Yeah, a little bit poor taste there. But in any case, so that's what we're looking at here. And I think let's go ahead and just get right into game number 2 of these finals and see what happens. Again, Stork is up 1-0 at this point. So what's going to happen in game number 2? It's a Zerg nightmare. I mean, everything points to Stork taking a second game. And if he's able to take a second game here, I mean, like, this is the worst situation for Jaedong, to be down a game on the first map and going into a map that's heavily Protoss favored. If Stork takes this game, then we're looking at like an 0-2 deficit for Jaedong, and that is just so hard to come back from. It's not impossible. We've actually seen a surprising number of reverse sweeps in finals. In fact, I would love to go back and like look at look at the what the, okay, I couldn't read that in time, sorry. I mean, I could, but I don't think, no, it said like no, I think. Anyway, it'd be interesting to go back and look at like what the numbers are as far as like how many finals have had a near sweep that have had a reverse sweep, because I feel like it's probably more than statistically you would imagine. But anyway, hasn't happened yet. Stork has definitely favored on this map. He's shown that he's favored against Jaedong. The map has shown that it's favored against Zerg, but we still have to play the game and see what happens here. So Jaedong is going to be the red Zerg at the top middle of the map. And this time, and there he is. He's got his nice cheer pull in the window there that we saw earlier that said the Destroyer. Stork is going to be our man here on the left side of the map. He's going to be the orange Protoss. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, I am also, like Diggity said, he's a big Stork fan. And Stork was, I'm not even sure why exactly I decided Stork was like my favorite player early on, other than just the fact that he was good. But I think it might have been because like one of the first series that I watched was him versus Bisu in the MSL finals, and he was like the underdog, and so I'm like, you know, I usually like to root for the underdog. But in any case, looking forward to hopefully seeing, you know, this map will lend itself a little bit more to a longer macro game. There's no cheesy ramp with the Dark Swarm or anything like that, so we're probably not going to see Jaedong do a special sniper build like we saw in the last map. I mean, the last time he basically, I'm sure that he had practiced that build specifically for this map, for Persona, and actually I wonder, because Persona's the last map of the series as well. So if it goes to the game 5 that we're thinking about, is it going to be a situation where he's going to do the same? Well, he can't do the same build, right? So he's got to practice 2 different builds for that map. And that one, it makes sense to do for the first game. Actually, you want to try and get an early lead. And, you know, if you have like a cheesy build like that you think is going to work really well, that, you know, if they expect it, they'll stop it. Get some Stork fans there. Nice, huge, man. That probably cost them like hundreds of dollars to print out that giant screen of Stork to go and cheer him on there. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying now. Stork's cool. That's what I was trying to say. Oh yes, Jaedong would have liked to get that 1 game early lead, because the first game is actually a really big deal as far as the momentum goes. You know, momentum isn't technically a thing in StarCraft, but it can be if you can get into the mind of your opponent and beat them early on and make them feel like they're at a deficit and they're playing from behind. That can be a big problem. So anyway, but Stork has that advantage right now. Nothing but focus on his face, though. We do have the natural expansion going down for Jaedong, and Jaedong's trying to get a 3rd base, but as you can see, the 3rd base is actually very difficult to get to on this map, and he's actually forced to run his his drone back to his main to try and get some help there. And now he's going to turn it back around and actually, oh, did he escape the probe? This Zealot, we did see Stork go for the gateway first, which can be a little bit dangerous, but he's gotten a good scout on, and so he knows that it's fine. And he's actually, oh no, he left the spot. Well, that's probably a good thing. I mean, he had a nice little corner there. He could have put that Zealot inside that pocket between the mineral patches, and probably could have been fine. But instead he decided to move the Zealot out, and the reason is because he wanted to scout. He's also distracting by going to 2 different locations. That Zealot has run all the way to the natural expansion. He's going to run behind that natural expansion, and so he's getting a scout in. He's being distracting rather than just trying to kill drones. He's killed another drone though with that 2nd Zealot. Stork doing a good amount of harassment here. This is looking not too good at all for Jaedong. He's losing a lot here. He's losing Zerglings, and those Zealots are still alive. Stork has not lost a single unit thus far. Maybe that probe went down and I didn't see it. But he is now invading and attacking the spawning pool. I don't know if that's the best move because it's not super likely he'll actually be able to kill the spawning pool, so it's kind of like wasted attacks that he could be attacking drones or something on those lines. There's Jaedong's coach, by the way, in the audience, also looking a little bit concerned here. And Jaedong feeling concerned enough by this attack, actually pulling drones off from it to kind of scare Stork back a little bit, and Stork's having to dance back and forth with these Zealots away from the Zerglings. If he gets surrounded, it'll be bad, and so he's trying to fall back. At least he wants to get surrounded at a point where the Zealots are at least together, and here he goes. Oh, again, he's falling back. Just beautiful micro here, going for the drones, though. The drones are dancing away from the Zealots, and he actually saves both of those drones. That is crucial. If he lost another couple drones to those Zealots, that would have been really bad. And so it looks like with one Zealot down and another one, well, he's just continuing to keep his Zealots in different locations. I'm actually a little surprised he's not clumping them up to make sure they can protect each other, but instead he's just trying to throw Jaedong off by attacking so many different locations at once. And that actually makes sense because if you have, 10 Zerglings versus 3 Zealots, the Zerglings stand a much better chance than if it's 3 Zerglings versus 1 Zealot 3 times. The 1 Zealot will take out 3 Zerglings every single time. So it's smart of him to kind of keep his Zealot separate and attack different spots in different places and kind of keep Jaedong just occupied and keep him distracted. And, I mean, what is it he accomplished? Jaedong still doesn't have a third base. That's what he was trying. I think he was going to try and get a third base, or at least a third hatchery. He ended up having to get a macro hatch in his main because they felt like he wasn't safe enough to go out and get that third base with all these Zealots running around. There's no way he could have kept it. The Zealots would have easily just gone after it and obliterated it. So anyway, so Stork though has been macroing in the background. He's gotten his probe count up. He's doing extremely well. We can actually, I can't. They had the technology to show the supply counts on this game, and it's so fuzzy I cannot actually read it. I can tell you that Jaedong is on the left of that little chart on the bottom right of the screen, and Song Byung-gu, Stork, is on the right. So it looks like Stork is ahead in supply, if I see that correctly. It looks like 43 to 30. Something along those lines, so Stork is definitely ahead. The amount that he's ahead is probably in workers. He doesn't have a lot of an army, so I don't think Jaedong needs to be super worried right now, but he does go in there with an Overlord just to spot to see, okay, are there any Dark Templar coming out or anything like that. He spots the Stargate. He would have revealed the Stargate pretty soon after because those Corsairs are now rushing across the map to attack his Overlords. The Spire is nearly complete, and it looks like Stork is going to fall back with these Corsairs. I think he knows that, if he stuck around, he might kill an Overlord, but then the Scourge would kill off his Corsairs. He wants to maintain that Corsair count instead, so he's going to just fall back a little bit, go after the Overlords, and there is this, oh, he did see the Citadel, actually. Is there a Templar Archive somewhere, is the question. It doesn't necessarily mean Templar Archives because the Citadel could be for Zealot leg speed. In fact, it's very likely to be for Zealot leg speed for some sort of 2-base timing. The fact that he's building Corsairs, he's not trying to posture to take a third base or anything like that because it's so difficult to take a third base on this map, especially as the Protoss. Later on in the game, when you've got map control, you can move out onto the map and you can kind of take a third base and plant down a couple pylons, put down 4 or 5 cannons, and protect it theoretically, or maybe just a couple cannons, depending on how safe you feel. But in any case, and there's other members of Jaedong's team, still called Leikaf Oz at this point in time. Later they switched to Hwasheng with a different sponsor. But in any case, Stork is building up his Corsair count. He's got a nice wall at the front. We saw him building additional gateways, so I think we're probably going to see him push out basically with a bunch of Corsairs and Zealots at some point, and go out with a strong push. I'd love to see the Forge to see if we can. Okay, there's the Templar Archives as well, actually. So he's going to be able to. He may actually just push into a late game attack and get Storm and that kind of thing. Depends on how many gateways he has. But Jaedong is looking like he's going to go for the kill, though. Stork has been expecting this, and he's built a lot of cannons all over the map. But Jaedong's going in with Scourge. Can he kill off the Corsairs with the Scourge? He's going in. The Mutalisks take the cannon hits, so the Scourge can chase down the Corsairs. He takes out all of the Corsairs. Every Corsair goes down, and Jaedong is able to kill off the cannons as well. And Stork was depending entirely on the Corsairs to defend himself against the air. He was using the cannons as kind of like some extra meat, some extra bait to go after the Mutalisks, but the Corsairs and the cannons are all dead. Stork his main is completely overrun. His natural expansion has that Templar Archives, so he could theoretically get out some DTs, but it doesn't really matter because there's going to be Overlords everywhere, and without any without without any Corsairs to kill the Overlords, it's not going to happen. Here he comes in. He's got a large group of Zealots, exactly like I said. But Jaedong with the Sim City building extra Sunkens and putting random Evo chambers in front of his Sunkens just to seal the deal. The next Corsair goes down. Jaedong is hammering away at the Nexus with his Mutalisks, and I think this is going to be it. Jaedong actually has... Oh, and he's going after the High Templar! The High Templar go down without even getting enough energy to cast a Storm that could have been his saving grace if Stork had managed to get a couple Storms off on those Mutalisks and maybe a couple Dragoons out to finish them off, because Dragoons cannot be killed by Scourge. That's the one advantage that they have. Stork might have been able to get back in this, but he's just so far behind. He's lost his Nexus. He is doing what he can to try and fight back. He's sending out single Dark Templar to do harassment. He's sending out his Zealots to different bases to try and take out thirds. And this Dark Templar, yeah, he's like... That Dark Templar is like, nope, 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 nope. There's way too many Overlords there. He's finally building Dragoons, but there's just so many Mutalisks just chilling above there that he can't do anything. And there's the GG! And yeah, Jaedong's mom is super happy about that. Wow. So Jaedong brings it back and takes game number 2. Very, very, very well played. Kind of not what I was expecting at, you know, the 5-minute mark. Stork was doing such a good job of harassing with all those Zealots. Just an amazing, amazing play with the Zealots. Just super, absolutely ridiculous multitasking on Stork's part and Jaedong's part as well. He was dealing with it really, really well. But the multitasking of Stork dealing with 3 Zealots at a time and macroing his main, building his tech, and getting a worker lead as well. Just absolutely crazy stuff there. Very, very, very well done. And, yeah, just Jaedong was able to deal with it, though. And, I mean, the crucial moment, the one moment in this game that it all came down to was Jaedong's attack. He said, you know what, you're going for Corsairs. I'm gonna be gutsy, and I'm gonna go for air superiority. Going for air superiority against a Protoss with Corsairs is risky. And some of the games that I've cast recently with, like, Bisu, for example, trying to do that, it just didn't work out for him. You know, on my YouTube channel, it just, you know, if it's difficult, right? If he has enough Corsairs, you know, 8 Corsairs, especially if they have +1, they can just hold position and Scourge can't touch them, right? And Jaedong moved in at just the right moment when Stork had, I think, only 5 Corsairs, and it wasn't really enough. He wasn't able to hold it off, and the Scourge split perfectly. I mean, Jaedong went in with his Mutalisks so that the cannons attacked the Mutalisks instead of the Scourge. The Scourge had free range to chase the Corsairs down, and it was just all over from there. I mean, that's all it took. Once the Corsairs were gone, Stork had nothing left. So anyway, that's a GG, and very, very well played by Jaedong. Able to deal with all that early harassment and not falter and just come back into, you know, the later game essentially. So all right, so it's a 1-1 score now, and let's see if I can actually make this work. I've got this set up, and we'll see if we can make this happen. Give me a sec. Sorry, I didn't have hotkey set up for everything, so I'm gonna take a second to do a little bit of stuff. So we got Jaedong lost game 1. Oh, that didn't work. Hold on. Okay, Jaedong lost game 1. All right, we're doing this. And game 2 went to Stork, or to Jaedong, so we'll do this. So there we go. Now we got our score there. So Stork takes game 1, Jaedong takes game 2, and yeah, super cool. All right, let me check here. I'm gonna try and queue up something else here. So just give me a quick second while I figure stuff out. And oh, here we go. Excellent. All right, so we're gonna move on to game number 3 here in just a moment. Game number 3 is going to be on Fantasy, and let's see though. We have another. Looks like we might have another incoming transmission though. Let's see if this works. You guys can probably hear that.
Hello.
Hello there. Who do we have this time? Who's on the line here?
Hello, hello.
Is that the Nuke the Stars? I think Nuke can't hear me, can he? Oh crap. Can you not hear me, Nuke?
Talking, I can't hear you, Malchap.
Oh no, he can't hear me. Hold on a second. I had this all set up, honestly. It just is not working. Hold on. All right, let me see if I can get my settings to work here. I don't have my audio set up apparently. Microphone. Let's see. How about now? Can you hear me now? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're gonna have Nuke on the line in a second. We just got some technical difficulties here. Let's see. Let me try again. I'm trying to get my microphone set up. Apparently my microphone isn't working on Skype. So, well, it looks like it is now. All right, can you hear me now? Hello?
Dang, I still can't hear you. Oh no.
No.
Technical problems. Hold on. I can fix this.
Are you gonna?
I can hear you now.
Are you just like start up the stream or something?
No, I was like, I didn't have the headphones configured correctly. It's like such a rookie mistake. I mean, you've been privy to my bumbling the past few days when I forgot how time zones worked, so you know exactly what you're in store for here.
That's all right. Hey, time. What is time anyway? I don't know. I don't know how that goes. How's it going, Nuke? What's going on?
Time. How does it work? I'm doing great. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Now, this is a real treat for me actually because I don't know if. Well, let me start with this. When did you start casting Brood War?
I started in the end of 2008, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was something like that. So, if you guys don't know, so Nuke started casting kind of a little bit after me and Diggity and I think Collar on Rise, but I don't think I've ever actually talked to you like over voice chat before, have I?
Yeah, I was going to mention that actually because yeah, we used to talk all the time in IRC and we sent messages on Twitter and
yeah.
But no, we've never spoken verbally.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. And it's one of those weird situations where like it's a very peculiar weird situation to have. But sometimes you like get to know people, but you don't actually talk to them. But if you've heard each other's voices on casts, you feel like you've talked to them before, even if you haven't. And so that's like the situation. Like this doesn't feel weird to be talking to you because I already kind of feel like I've talked to you.
Yeah, same.
And it's the same back and forth. So anyways, that's kind of weird. So is that Nuke the Star's real face is what Chaz is asking. Yes, Nuke is also a StarCraft robot, actually, in case you guys didn't know. Yeah,
I mean, Diggity and I were both female robots. I don't understand why that's so hard to comprehend.
Exactly. Come on, guys. Easy. So it's good to finally talk to you, man. And how's things? What have you been up to? It looked like you did some stuff like maybe 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, or something like that. Was the last time I saw you put some content out. What have you been up to in the meantime?
Yeah, that was the last time I did any kind of StarCraft commentary was 4 years ago. Which, like, before that, it had been 4 years since I'd commentated, so it's like time is really dilating here. But since then, I did a podcast for a while that I kind of abandoned. Sorry if you listen to it. But yeah, I just jumped from project to project. That's how I've always been, though.
Cool.
Right now, I'm working on publishing my first novel, which is almost done. It's getting there.
Nice. Yeah, and you got to tell everyone the name of your novel because it's the best name ever.
Oh, it's called Guns and Spiders.
Guns and Spiders. Can you think of two better things to include in a novel than those two things? Guns and Spiders.
Yeah, no false advertising. The book has guns and spiders in it.
Wow, you know, that's great. I expect it to be like a twist, like you go in there and it's only like swords and scorpions, the whole book.
Oh, that would be such a good idea. What? Oh. Maybe for the sequel.
Hey, it's not published yet. It's not too late to change the name to Swords and Scorpions. So it's the reverse fake out.
Absolutely.
Anyway, yeah, and I want to give you a shout out, by the way, that so I stopped casting when I moved to Korea, although that was partly because stopped casting Brood War, that is, because obviously I was casting other stuff. Partly because it was a little awkward to be like going to the OSL studio and meeting the OSL like casters and executives, and then going like pirating the OSL in my spare time. Like that just didn't seem like it would work out. But you kept casting Brood War to the very end, basically. Like you were putting stuff on YouTube all the way through the last OSL, right? TVing.
Yeah, I kept casting right up until they started doing that split StarCraft 2 and Brood War Pro League, I think it was. But yeah, you remember that?
I'd like barely remember that was a thing, but I think I might have blocked it on my mind.
Yeah, me too. It was such a bad idea. It's like it took away from both games, I thought.
Yeah.
Big shame.
That's kind of what happened with the scene, is it took away from both games, because then you had the StarCraft 1 players trying to play StarCraft 2, and they were never as good at it, and so they just kind of were bad, and it was disappointing, because you're like, it's Flash! He sucks! At StarCraft 2! Yeah. So now we're back to the way things should be, where all the young whippersnappers are playing StarCraft 2, and all the old pros are back playing Brood War again. So
exactly.
That we have remastered. So anyway, so yeah, cool stuff. But yeah, that was and then are there any other projects that you did in the meantime that you would talk about or anything like that? I know you did another couple things, but I don't know if you want me to mention them.
Big projects. Not really. I mean, aside from doing audiobook readings, I did H.P. Lovecraft audiobooks for a while.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, did a stretch of that, and
Nuke the Shoggoth.
Nuke the Shoggoth, absolutely. That project's still there if I ever want to do one again, but yeah, Lovecraft is very hard to read, which is why after the Call of Cthulhu, I was like, I think I'll take a break, possibly for years from that.
Did your mind snap and you went insane from reading H.P. Lovecraft?
That was also a big problem, yeah. Just seeing these tentacle creatures all around me. No one else could see them, but I could.
Are those still up? Are those the Lovecraft videos still up somewhere?
Yeah. They're on Nuke the Shoggoth on YouTube, I believe.
Cool.
But it has been years since I've touched it.
Some people in the chat are saying like, oh yeah, I remember those. So, and then someone else is asking for a link. So yeah, just look up Nuke the Shoggoth. SHOGGATH or OTH?
SHOGGOTH.
There you go. In case you don't know how to spell Shoggoth, like who doesn't know how to spell Shoggoth? Come on.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's a giant thing with a million eyes on it. Who doesn't know that?
I see what you did there.
That's why I'm tuning in, Voltrap. That's great.
Anyway, so what's going on in your life these days? Anything? Do you have kids like Diggity or anything?
I do not have kids. No. I had a cat for a while, but I know that doesn't really count. Now there is a kid upstairs that is constantly stomping on the floor, so I kind of feel like I have kids, but we're moving soon, so that won't be a problem.
I completely sympathize. Actually, there's they actually might be able to hear me because I'm gonna lower my voice for a second. There's a family next door that has kids that like not constantly but regularly are screaming and stomping, and I think they actually go and visit the neighbors upstairs, because then like twice a week there's just like thump 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 thump. That sounds like a kid running back and forth above it. I was a little worried because they started to scream like right before this cast started. I was like, is there gonna be screaming children in the background of my OSL cast? But they ditched. So anyway,
that's good. Yeah. Luckily, I don't have to really like watch what I say because we're moving out in like a week, so I can say whatever I want about them. I don't care if they hear.
All right. Well, we're trying to keep this safe for work on the stream, so don't say too much. All right. Well, anything else you want to say to the old school fans in chat, or any shout outs you want to give, or anything else?
Old school fans, take your Geritol. I don't know. Thanks everybody for watching. I mean, by the way, the quality of the production quality here is just so good. As soon as I like came into the stream, I was like, I did that thing where you kind of pretend you're Italian and you kiss the tips of your fingers. Just so good.
I spent 4 hours or something like that, maybe 5 last night, making all the screens working and all that stuff. And I've still screwed up some of the transitions that I worked on today.
Oh, so. No. It was so worth it.
But,
it looks so good.
And that was just yet last night finishing stuff. I've spent 4 or 5 other hours this week. So thank you.
Time well spent.
Thank you is what I'm trying to say. I appreciate it. I worked hard on that. It's good to be recognized. But yeah, cool. All right. Yes. And Diggity says he had to mess with the audio a bit. Yeah, that's true. Well, yep. I've had to do a lot of messing, and thank you to Diggity for helping me set up the audio last night, actually, too. So, cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to get back to the cast and get into game number 3. It's a tie ball game at 1-1, and I think people want to know what's going to happen next. So,
I do too.
Chat and Nuke, and yeah, if you don't already follow Nuke on Twitter, he says cool stuff a lot. So, go check him out there, and then if he does any other projects, you'll find out what they are.
Nice. Nice talking to you, man.
All right, nice talking to you too. I'll talk to you later, man.
See ya.
All right. Cool. And Nuke the Stars, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent, excellent. All right. Let's go ahead and... Oop, that's not the right screen. We're going back to this screen for a minute. All right. So, I promised special guests, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the special guests that we've come up with. Diggity and Nuke the Stars, 2 of the most prolific old school casters of the old days. So I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing. Audio is still very low. That's interesting. I'm not sure how to change that. Mic fix? What's going on? All right. Well, I guess we'll just be a little bit unprofessional here and fix levels to pre-nuke. It started when you started the call with Nuke. Maybe it changed microphones or something like that. It's not back now that we dropped the call. All right, let's do one more little mic test here. Sounds okay to me. All right. Let's go ahead and let's get this game going, and then you guys can yell at me in chat if the balance is off, at least, and then you guys can so let me know if that's a problem. We'll get it working. But in any case, yeah, we're gonna be moving into game number 3 here in just a moment. Stork versus Jaedong, and let's see if we can get it all queued up. There we go. All right. So, I forgot. I didn't get back to the map. Let's go back to the maps. Game number 3 is on Fantasy. Let's check this out real quick. I don't want to miss a chance to check out Fantasy, the map Fantasy, that is, because look at this map. All right. So we got a pretty low rate for a ZVP at this point in time because there's only been a handful of games played. 2 to 5. So it looks like a pretty abysmal scenario for Zerg against Protoss on this map, but we can also see that once this map was played for a long time, it came to about even in ZVP. So it's pretty much not too bad of a map for that in that sense. So whoa, what is going on here? So, sorry, something's weird with my visuals on the game. I just want to make sure that's fixed in time. Okay. So yeah, so a kind of even-handed map, right? It's 4 spawn positions again, and oops, let's make sure this is on. Why is that not on? There we go. 4 spawn points. You have, this is the only map with like a normal ramp expansion, actually. This is the only map in the map pool. The other 3 don't have like a normal ramp expansion. So this one is kind of normal in that sense, but it's also still very weird. It's got these island expansions. You can see one at 12 and one at 6, where you have to like mine out the minerals so you can't float over or anything like that. But all the other expansions are really just whack-ass. Like, they're just all over the place. And look at this map. What is even going on this map? Like, look at the top left expansion. There's a main, a broad high ground, and then a ramp to a low ground, and then a choke on the side, and your third expansion is like way off on the side. And then you have the top right expansion, which has a ramp down to a natural, which is really close, and then there's like bridges on one side and there's a ramp up to a high ground on the other side. And then the bottom right-hand spawn has a ramp down to a natural, which has minerals that you can mine out to get a backdoor into the natural expansion. It's so weird. The left side has a weird situation where like the ramp goes down into the natural, but the natural has like a back door that has another ramp that goes to a high ground, where there's a third base that goes to another ramp that goes down behind the natural. It's just crazy. I don't know what's going on in this map. Anyway, so just be aware of the fact that wherever these guys spawn, it's going to be very different play. And this is probably going to be, as such, it's going to be a very difficult map for these guys to plan a build on. Like, I'm almost certain we're not going to see any kind of, like, cheese build or special sniper build or anything like that. Because usually if you plan a map for a specific build for a map, it's because, you know, there's some specific advantage or terrain to the map that you want to take advantage of, and that's just not going to be possible in this map. So anyway, we're gonna have to see how that goes when we get into the game. Looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and get into it right now and go into game number 3 on Fantasy. All right, so here we go. We're getting started with game number 3. We've got the sound going on for the video and my sound as well, so let me know. We'll take this minute to see like if the audio is okay, if I need to turn one up or down, anything along those lines. Just gonna check the chat real quick while we're waiting for this to get started, see if there's any complaints. Bump your audio up. I don't know if I can do that. I could turn the video audio down. All right. Well, this is a little bit amateurish, but let's go. I'll go ahead and pause. Let me just set up my mic, reset up my mic again real quick, just to see if that helps. All right. So I've done that, and let me also, maybe if I turn off the microphone in Skype, that might change it. So maybe if Skype isn't using the microphone, let's see if that changes anything. Am I using the mic on my headset? No, because that one doesn't work. I have not been able to get it to work since I reinstalled new hardware on my computer a few months ago. So yeah, I haven't been using that at all because it just doesn't work. So, and by the way, I'm just now taking a glance over at some of the alerts that I've gotten. Thank you so much to everyone that's followed. And Suzowo, I don't know how to pronounce that. Zawo. Thank you for the bits, man. That's really awesome of you. Appreciate it a lot. And we got a bunch of new followers here as well. So thank you very much. Hazley Nut, how's it going? I know you. Thanks for the follow. I'm glad you could join. It's good to see you. All right. So is the audio okay? Is it at least okay to proceed? Because I'm not sure what else to do to try and fix it right now, other than like restarting my computer, which isn't really an option. Are we good to go? At least is this gonna be tolerable? Are we gonna be able to watch the game? I think. All right, go for it. Fake Double has followed me as well. That's a privilege right there. That's a great name right there. I also, one of the best names, I was looking at who's followed my Twitch over the last like couple days, and one of them was named 4-Slot Toaster. And I just love that name. I don't know why, but that's just like the best name ever. Oh man, 4-Slot Toaster. Because it's like, I've never seen one of those. I don't think I've seen one of those. Maybe at like a hotel or something like that they might have something, but I've never seen one. But it's just like, you know, it's just a random name, but it's like when you need to toast 4 pieces of bread at the same time, or like 4, if you just need like 4 Pop-Tarts and you're gonna stack them on top of each other and make like a Pop-Tart sandwich with Pop-Tart bread with double Pop-Tart filling, and you need them all at the exact same temperature, you need a 4-slot toaster. So that's maybe why I got such a kick out of the name, because it was just random weird stuff going through my mind. Anyway. Smiley, I see what you did there. Smiley's like, it seems like that person needed a name and looked around the room and found something. he knows the secret. That's actually how I came up with my name several years ago. Was I had a box that I didn't have any mole traps myself, but I had spent a summer working at a warehouse that sold mole traps, and I used one of the boxes to move to college. And so I moved into college, and I had to make a name for YouTube for some random thing. And I had to make an account. I looked around, and there was a box for mole traps that I'd used to pack to move to college. And hey, little Susie! That's how... That's awesome. I want to say, oh, hey, she's there, but nope, that was 13 years ago she was there. In any case, she's moved on to do all sorts of cool stuff in esports, by the way, since then, so... Not that she wasn't already doing cool stuff in esports, even before this. But, yeah, so that's how I got my name. Random box lying around in my room like 17 years ago when I made my YouTube account. So there you go. Anyway, let's actually talk about the game. Let's talk about this game. We got Jaedong is in the bottom leftish position. So this is the one where there's a weird ramp behind and in front of the natural expansion. That's the one that Jaedong has. Stork has probably the best spawn that he could have gotten, because this is the one where he can actually forge fast expand. This is the only spawn on this map that he can easily forge fast expand without having a backdoor into his base. So this is just golden opportunity for Stork to be able to actually get an expansion up and be protected. So very, very lucky on Stork's part here. But we're seeing a little bit of a possible panic situation because there's some Zerglings running out, and Stork does not have much of a blockade here. He can fast expand, but he needs to really just be careful because it's still a wide choke point. Even though it is a choke point, it's the only spawn with a single choke point. It's a wide choke point, and you can see he's gathered all of his pros to protect against that one cannon, and cannon takes a pot shot against that Zergling. But it does run away, and so he's going to be okay. And now he's actually only got 3 probes there, a little bit dangerous. And the reason he can do that, I think, is because he's had his scouting probe alive long enough that he's been able to see that Jaedong has scouted the 3rd base. He's gotten transitioned into drones, isn't building a ton of Zerglings. So I think he's like, okay, I can get away with 3 probes blocking right now, and I can go back to mining with the rest of them. I mean, the probes are actually at the natural as well, which is just like a second away. So if Jaedong does try and break, he can actually just pull all those probes away from the natural and go and defend with them too. So it's pretty smart of him to say, okay, well, these things are close enough that I can get them to the front lines before these 3 probes die, and so they'll be able to block to make sure that he can't just run by these cannons and get into the main base. So very, very smart on his part. Jaedong has his 3rd base up and running, and you can see it's at this kind of weird expansion that's behind his natural, up on this like high ground ramp area, which, you know, in other matchups would be more impactful because you can put tanks up there and shell the natural and stuff like that. And the scouting probe finally does go down and gets surrounded by those Zerglings, so now Jaedong has a little bit more freedom to change up his tech. Jaedong has an Overlord in Stork's base that's kind of running around because Stork has gone entirely for Econ. He can get a fast expansion. He's been building almost, I mean, well, when you don't have any gateways, you can't build anything but probes, so he's been building lots of probes. Pay no attention to me saying butt probes. And, sorry. So, all this talk about me in college, and I flash back to my college sense of humor for a moment. I couldn't help it. In any case, we have Stork finally starting to build units. He's got a couple zealots out, and he's just starting to get his tech rolling. And so that Overlord is free to just kind of run through the base and see exactly what's going on, see exactly what kind of tech is happening. He is going to try and escape because a Dragoon might pop out at some point, or obviously he's probably going to get a Stargate. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. He could go a lot of different ways. Okay, never mind. The Overlord has scouted the Stargate. So the Overlord is like, oh, this is the building that will kill me. This is the building that produces units that kill me. So I'm going to run away. And by run, I mean crawl slowly through the air. So it's not running in almost any sense of the word. But the Overlord is going to try and escape to get away. At least get some distance. So it's a little bit more difficult. You know, he may just try and get away from Stork's base. And you notice he's also moving it sort of towards the top right area. So it's to put it there so in case it lives, it can scout. for another expansion, but also so that it's farther away, so if the Corsairs chase that Overlord, they're kind of moving away from attack position. That's a beautiful little spot there. Actually, it does get three Zerglings surrounding those 2 Zealots, but another couple Zealots are running into the main, though, and his Zerglings have been delayed attacking that single one, so we're seeing the same kind of harassment that we saw Stork do in the last game that was pretty effective, but in this case, the Zealots get completely surrounded and taken out with no damage done. Absolutely 0 damage done by those Zealots. I don't think they even killed off a single drone. They killed off maybe a couple Zerglings. But a perfect surround of those Zerglings on those Zealots, and they were just in the exact wrong position. I mean, I guess they had their backs to each other, but they were still surrounded by multiple Zerglings each. And yeah, that was not good. Stork loses his Zealots. Now, I mean, part of the reason why he moved out, though, is, you know, it's all a push and pull, tug of war type situation. He pushed out with those Zealots to make sure that Jaedong was building some attack units, make sure that he was building a few extra Zerglings to deal with that. And there are Scourge out on the map, and he's already taken out one Corsair. It looks like he might take out another one, but he's got those cannons to fall back to. Excuse me. Second Corsair is now out. He's built a number of cannons. Looks like 4 or 5 in total now. So he's got those cannons to fall back to in case of Scourge. But it looks like Jaedong is not going to try to, well, not yet at least. He could still switch things up. But he's not going to try to take complete air superiority and go for Mutalisks like he did in the previous game, which was very, very effective. And he might be just kind of scaring Stork a little bit with those Scourge, making him think that he's going to do that. Oh, no! Okay, the Corsairs are there. I didn't see that the Corsairs were along with that shuttle, so the shuttle is protected by the Corsairs. But those Scourge almost had a moment when those shuttle was not with those Corsairs. The Scourge had a chance to theoretically pick it off, which would have been a huge deal. That shuttle is going to be the key to Stork continuing to harass Jaedong, which is necessary. And obviously he's going to be able to move over and take that expansion with it as well, which is very smart. Now, especially if he has air superiority. If Stork can maintain control of the air, then he doesn't have to worry about that expansion being killed off at all. And he can just kind of build lots of stuff. We'll build lots of probes over there and get that third base going without worrying about it at all. He could just focus on defending his natural expansion. If Jaedong gets air superiority, though, then that base is forfeit, and so it's a really difficult situation. Hydraliston is out now. We're starting to see him starting to build Hydraliston. It looks like he's starting to upgrade them as well. And, oh, Scourge coming in from both sides. Oh, looks like he lands some Scourge onto those Corsairs. He's going to fall back to the cannons. I don't think he quite has... It's hard to tell how many he has there. I think 5 Corsairs. I don't think it's quite critical mass yet where, you know, once you have 6 or 7 or 8, or I think it can be as little as 5 or 6 if you have +1 weapons upgraded. Once you have critical mass of Corsairs, they can just stand in place and kill off Scourge. And here comes the Reaver in the background. I didn't even see that he had Reaver tech. Nice! Scarab lands, killing 3 or 4 drones. Beautifully done. But critically, Jaedong has 4 bases, and killing off 3 drones is not going to be enough to actually stop Jaedong from macroing up. This is, I mean, this is Sauron Zerg style is what it's beginning to look like here, because he's hitting 4 bases, and Stork doesn't really have a... 1 Scarab for 1 Zergling is technically a good trade. They're both 25 minerals, so I guess that makes sense. But critically, though, he's also picking off these random Zerglings. You can see Jaedong. I really like this. The Scoutlings, the burrowed lings around the map, giving vision just so that, like, if that shuttle just comes across them, you can see them. Or he has burrowed Zerglings in a couple spawn points as well, so that or a couple base points as well, so that way. Oh, and he burrows the Hydralisk to surprise attack the Corsairs. Almost gets one. Is he going to be able to finish that one off? No, not quite. So the Corsairs get out alive. He's doing a lot of scouting here. He's getting a lot of information. He's seeing what Jaedong has, but he's not doing any damage with these Corsairs. So neither player really able to touch the other one right now. Neither player doing significant damage to the other. Templar Archives warping in now, and Stork is trying to get more gateways going as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Stork just stay on 3 bases. The 4th base is going to be extremely difficult for him to take. So right now we're going to see Stork just try and build up as much force as he can and try and macro out of these 3 bases is what I'm imagining will happen. Jaedong is macroing off of 4 bases though, and he's got enough units that he's got a squad of Hydras at his main. He's got a squad of Hydras that can go back and forth between his main and his natural. He's got a squad in the natural, I believe, and a squad at the 4th base. So he's basically secure. And I like this move. He's dropping off that one Reaver at the expansion base. Because he's got, as you can see, plenty of, wow, I did not realize it was making that many Reavers. And Dark Templar. What? Did I see that right? Did he just loot up 2 Dark Templar and a Reaver into that shuttle? Jaedong getting a 5th base now. He's going to be just absolutely ridiculously unstoppable with his macro if it gets too far. And there we can see these Corsairs. There's enough of them that just on attack move, they can kill off Scourge before they get to them. And because they do AoE damage, unless you're splitting your Corsair Scourge up a lot, there's really no way to deal with that situation. So it's going to be difficult here. So now it's going to be difficult, rather, for Jaedong to deal with this Corsair count. He's got 9 Corsairs now, maybe 10, to accompany that shuttle. So there's no way, if he keeps his units with that, there's really not going to be an easy way to kill off that shuttle, unless he's got Hydralisks, which Corsairs can't attack Hydralisks, by the way, just in case you're new to this sport. And so this is cute. He's dropped off a DT in one base, kills off the Overlord to stop the DT. Oh, Scarab goes off. It looks like it's going to be a dud, though. Yeah, duds onto nothing there. But that was very risky. Those drones were very clumped up. He could have lost a lot of drones there, which would have been not catastrophic, but which would have been very significant. But Jaedong just has Hydralisks everywhere. He can't really protect this shuttle that well because there's just Hydralisks at every possible spot, and he only needs 1 squad of Hydras, basically, at each location to, and not even a full, 12 count squad. He just needs a handful of them to stop these Corsairs. The shuttle with the Reaver in it, obviously the Reaver can deal with the Hydralisk pretty well, but if it's just 1 Reaver being dropped at a time, it's still very risky. So this is the point where Stork, I think he's realizing that the harassment isn't going to work. And he hasn't really done anything with any of these harassment, actually. Now, crucially, he's kept his units alive. Stork has kept all of his units alive, except maybe 1 or 2 Corsairs. So he kind of knows exactly, excuse me, he knows exactly what he's up against, and he knows that he can deal with it once he groups up his units. But it's basically just been a complete macro game. In fact, if we're looking at the supply count here, again, Jaedong is going to be on the left of the little chart on the bottom right of your screen. And, oh, it loses 1 or 2 Corsairs. Loses 2 Corsairs. That is actually really bad. He was trying to kill off that Overlord to make that DT have a little bit more success. Is that, oh goodness, is that a Doom drop that we saw, or is that just a clump of Overlords that were moving around? That's why he planted that Reaver. That's what I was going to say earlier. He planted that Reaver, the expansion, just to have it there as defense in case of any drops later on. It can do some significant damage to the forces that are being dropped out. But the Corsair count is now a little bit low. I think Stork needs to give up on this shuttle. Well, I mean, he can't really give up on, well, yeah, he's going to have to give up on it. And, oh no, their shuttle goes down! Didn't even drop out any units! Oh no! Oh no, that is terrible. And what was in, we don't know what was inside of it. Probably at least a DT or 2, and that is a pretty big loss. So I was just earlier rambling about how, and that's a good spot for the Corsairs to be and actually protect against a potential drop there. The Samsung Khan team looking on with some concern, but also feeling a little bit confident. I mean, Stork, he's macroing up right now. Stork is on the right side of that chart at the bottom right. Looks like he's at, again, it's hard to read, but it looks like he's at a 150 supply, I think. But Jaedong, I think, is at 160. So it's, I mean, this is the macro Zerg dream. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases all over the map. He's got his entire tech tree going. He's getting the hive upgraded. He's got a ton of Hydralisks everywhere. Now, here's the thing. We're just seeing right now, we just saw a glimpse of the doom of that army, which was High Templar. Because if you have 1 High Templar for every 10 Hydralisks, you still win. Because the storms can be that just absolutely amazing and baffling and catastrophic to his Zerg army. Storms are just so strong. He's dropping off a probe to try and take a 4th base, it looks like. Where are we? Okay, the Corsairs are running around, and it looks like, okay, he's... He plans down the Nexus. The Zergling immediately unburrows to attack it. But here we go in. This is the drop that we were talking about. There's several cannons. He's been expecting this. He's got the river. He's got the cannons. He needs to save this base, though. Is he going to lose this base? There's so many Hydralisks dropping out. An absolute massive army of Hydras slaughtering everything. They're just ignoring the Reaver, and there's so many Hydras, they're killing everything anyway. He kills the Reaver last. He kills the Reaver last, and it still doesn't matter. Even after killing all the probes and all the cannons, he takes out the Reaver, and it's still enough to slaughter the entire base. He did lose a significant amount of Hydralisks, but I don't think he cares at this point. Jaedong still has a 20 supply lead on Stork. But again, Stork has the great equalizer of AoE damage. He's got these Reavers with his army. And you hear Jaedong losing some units that he shouldn't necessarily be losing. Actually, huge attack going in with a lot of units. But it looks like Stork is going to hold. No! Another wave coming in for Jaedong. The Storm's going down, blocking the units from getting too close to the Reavers. The Reavers doing massive damage as Stork has done it. He's taken out the main force of Jaedong. Now, here's the thing, though. Jaedong has 5 bases. Stork has 2. Jaedong's going to be able to remax so quickly. It's ridiculous. He's got macro hatches as well. So even though Storks wins that battle, is he going to be able to win the war is the question, because he's just lost his 3rd base. And it looks like these Hydros are actually going to redrop into the main potentially, which could be catastrophic. Another attack going in here. This is just the 2nd remax wave of Jaedong going in here, and he's attacking in the main base as well. Stork desperately trying to fight in the main, in his main, and in the middle at the same time. It looks like he's going to win the battle in the middle, or at least come to about a stalemate and kill most of those forces. But the Hydros in his main are killing off all of his probes in the meantime, and they're going to be able to take out his main nexus. This is catastrophic for Stork right now. He needs to do something to save his main base. And oh no, he's going to lose those Reavers. So expensive Reavers in the middle as well. They just get surrounded by these lurkers. Usually Reavers are a good counter to lurkers, but he's just got too many forces, and there's the GG! Jaedong takes game number 3, and it's going to take a 2-1 lead in this series. Absolutely beautiful play. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, that is the Zerg dream right there. That is the essence of Zerg. We are seeing the budding destroyer. This is the very beginning of the sigh of relief from Jaedong's. I'm pretty sure that's Jaedong's mom. I'm not sure. On the right in the pink. Pro gamers are young, but anyway. Yeah. Just stellar play by Jaedong, and that is like, that's the Zerg dream. Like 5 bases, he may have even gotten a 6th that I didn't even realize at the end there. Macro hatches as well. Just absolutely ridiculous play. Just, I mean, we saw the power of the Zerg play there, where he just got so much macro. Stork couldn't stop the macro. He did so much harassment, and Jaedong responded perfectly. He just had the exact right tools to fend off the Dark Templar, to fend off the Reaver, to fend off the Corsairs. Basically said, you know what, you're going to just try and peck me to death? Well, I'm going to punch off your beak so you can't peck me. I don't know where I'm going with that one. But point being, he stopped every attempt that Stork made to harass him. And Stork was not able to do any damage. He was not able to slow Jaedong down. And Jaedong just kept snowballing his giant army into a massive Zerg force that ended up being defeated, but it didn't matter because the massive Zerg force was backed up by a massive Zerg economy, such that when Stork beat him in the middle of the map, it didn't matter because Jaedong didn't even have like 3 dozen Hydralisks in that army, because they were the ones that were dropped on that 3rd base, and that was the sealing the deal. Because if he had like an extra 2-3 dozen Hydralisks in that main army in the middle, and maybe he beats Stork's army there instead of loses in the middle, he still probably loses most of those units, and then Stork is at 3 bases and going strong and can re-macro up and remax as well. Whereas in that case, he lost the battle in the middle, but he won the war, because by losing the battle in the middle, he killed off Stork's economy, and that was the killing blow for Stork. Because when you have 1 base Protoss, not too good against 5 base Zerg. There's no way to keep up in those situations. So anyway, wow. Okay, let's see if I can figure out this this map stuff a little bit better this time, and let's see if we can find the right banners. And there we go. Jaedong takes game number 3. So we're up 2-1 in favor of Jaedong. Stork has just that 1 game on Persona, and Katrina and Fantasy were favorable maps for Stork. Like, again, according to the stats, especially Katrina is really, well, I guess no, Katrina, which one of them, I guess they both kind of evened out over time, but I think Katrina was generally a Zerg, Protoss, yeah, Katrina was a Protoss favored map. So losing that was not too good for him. Let's go ahead and pull up the 4th map. Well, I say last map because if it goes to a game 5, it's gonna be Persona again. So I only have 4 maps on my little overlay thing here. So game number 4 is gonna be on Blue Storm, And let's see here. I'm going to see. I might have something else queued up over here, though. Let me see if I can pull up. Oh, let's see. Wait, hold on. Sorry, give me a second here. I'm trying to find something. There we go. All right. Seeing if I can. Nope. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Just trying to get myself sorted. Yeah, Blue Storm is a super cool map. Anyway, Blue Storm, Zerg versus Protoss is about even. At this point in time, it's 53% in favor of Zerg, but later on it came to be almost exactly 50%. Blue Storm is a really, really cool map. I like this map a lot. It was basically one of the star maps for this era. It ended up being used long after this, and it was kind of became like a standard map for a while, which is interesting because it's kind of a weird map. You can see that. So again, Fantasy is the only one. I'm sorry. Which one? Fantasy is the only one with a normal ramp down in your natural, like is kind of the standard stuff here. On Blue Storm, we have these weird situations. I wish I could point at the screen, but I don't have that figured out. Like I wish I could like draw on the screen or something like that. But you can see that there's a natural expansion outside of the main. It's only 2 spawns. It's not a square map, and there's a kind of a choke point that leads out to natural expansion, and then there's a tiny little choke point in between the natural and like the rest of the map. And it's small, and it's actually small enough that medium-sized units can't fit through it. So Zerglings can fit through, Zealots can fit through, Marines can fit through, but all the tier 2 units cannot. Goliaths, tanks, Dragoons. I'm not sure if Hydralisks can actually. I'm actually gonna check the chat. I think someone was just mentioning that. Diggity doesn't think Hydralisks can fit through. I don't think Hydralisks can fit through there either. I know Lurkers can't. So it's an interesting situation because then if you want to have large units attacking the natural, you have to go on this big ramp path around through either the top or the bottom of the map. And this map also has this kind of this trough in the middle that goes diagonally from bottom left to top right. And so oftentimes in a large macro game, you see the map divided in half diagonally, and one player will take the bottom and one player will take the top. And so it's a really interesting situation. The other thing to think about is the third base that's closer is mineral only. If you want to take a gas base, you have to go all the way to the other corner. You have to take a kind of a weird position to take the third base with a gas. So something to think about, especially because in the late game when the Zerg has 3 bases, if they have 3 gases, it can be a really big deal. But if they only have 2 gases, it can be not as strong. So anyway, looking forward to this match. I'm just going to check one more time. I thought I had something else to queue up here real quick. And so I'm going to double check here. And just give me a second. I'm going to see if someone else is around here. Anyway. All right. Anyway, we're doing good. This is so cool. I'm so glad that so many of you guys have joined me for this. It's so cool to have people chatting. This like so reminds me of the old days. And we were talking a little bit about the old days, like before the stream, right? Before there was Twitch. Like this is so much higher quality of life than the streams that we used to watch back in the old days when there was like some like FTP stream or what, not FTP, but some sort of like direct connect stream that you had to connect to, and then you had to like join a Discord channel, or you had to like listen to a MP3 player shoutcast from the audio feed, and then you had to try to sync them up together so that you were listening to the commentary at the same time. That's right. TV Ant was one of the sources. I think VLC was always a good program for like tuning in and stuff like that. And you had to sync up all this stuff. And like nowadays, people like don't realize how good they have it with Twitch, where you can just organize everything together and it all works works seamlessly. So let's see here. Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. All right, I may have something else queued up. Just hang with me for just a second. Chat amongst yourselves. I'm trying to get our last special guest in. We're in the surprise a little bit, but yes, we got one more surprise special guest that I'm trying to get on the line, but it's proving to be difficult. Oh wait, is this it? All right, let's see. I think we got one more guest to chat with, and let's see if it works. I don't know if it's gonna work or not.
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, I can like hear you very, very, very faintly. Just enough that I was able to like hear that you exist, but not enough to actually hear you very well. So hold on one second, guys. We're trying to get this set up. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, sick. Wait, okay, I need to get the video working though. Are you gonna be on video? Or oh, okay, cool. Well, never mind then. Don't have to get the video set up. We'll just go back to here and we'll set this up, and there we go. And we'll turn on the robot lady again.
Yes,
and
I love the robot lady.
Good old robot lady. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got SC2GG Rise on the line this time. How's it going, Rise?
I am fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a great time right now, actually. This is pretty awesome.
Hey, hold on. We need to stop for a second and just recognize that you are doing a fantastic job. I cannot believe the production value that you've got. I can't tell if I'm watching Dr. Disrespect or Mole Trap. This is incredible.
Well, seeing as how our viewers are in the double digits instead of the quintuple digits, I think it's probably Mole Trap that we're watching.
No. It's a Twitch error. Don't worry about that. That happens on newer streams.
I heard he had 300,000 people watching his loading screen yesterday.
Yeah, I may have tuned in for about 30 minutes, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Is he going to stream or not?
I don't know if he ever did, actually, but
I don't know.
Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you. Like I said, I put in some effort to try and make things go, and it's been clunky. When I was practicing last night, making sure I had my transitions down, all this stuff went so smoothly, but it's not today. But that's okay. Hopefully, it's adding character. It's adding character.
We can't even tell, man. It looks perfect. You're doing great.
Well, how's it going, Rise? Good to talk to you. I again, kind of like with Nuke, I've like, you know, talked to him on Twitter and stuff like that off and on, but I haven't actually voice chatted with you in some years, but we've kind of kept in touch a little bit though, right?
Yeah, you know, it's funny when I hear your voice, it's like we never stopped talking.
Right?
It's amazing how you can go back in time like that.
Yeah. It's funny. That reminds me. I've just been I just restarted the StarCraft 1 campaign recently, and it's interesting to go back and hear Jim Raynor's voice, because he's been doing that same guy has been doing that voice for that character for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
And to go back, his voice actually changed a significant amount, or maybe he's acting to make his voice sound older in the new games or something like that. But
technology changed, and actually you're like capturing him appropriately.
yeah, maybe that's maybe the case too. But like, yeah, like listening to like talking with Nuke, talking with you, it seems like nothing has changed though. So it's kind of a little bit weird. Because I think even Like if we're watching Tasteosis or whatever, like I think I can kind of hear that their voices have changed over the years, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I haven't had to use my voice in the same way that those guys do professionally.
True.
Years and years and years and years. So I've preserved it. I'm like that person who doesn't go out and tan, so I don't have that leathery skin. When just keep it nice and fresh.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that aspect of it actually, though. If they're like, talking excitedly into a microphone for 3 to 5 hours, 3 to 5 days a week for what have they been doing this for 12 or 13 years now or something like that straight, like all the time, like without even like a vacation really. So I may guess that they've taken some vacation, but yeah, that's true. Maybe that's why their voices have changed. But anyway, so how you doing, man?
Dude, I am fantastic.
How's life?
I've been hanging around the StarCraft streams for really, I don't know, all this time. I just haven't been able to stream myself. I was streaming probably 4 or 5 years ago on Twitch for a little while, hence the weird Twitch handle. I was streaming out of my basement that at the time had a bar behind me, so I was like, oh, we'll just call it a pub. And then work life took over, and I've moved multiple states since we started casting way back when. And
yeah.
Now I'm an old man like diggity. I got 3 kids. And
what? 3 kids?
Yeah, dude. And I wanted to talk about this. My 7-year-old son played StarCraft for the first time this past week, and he actually won, against the computer, of course, his first game, and I was so proud. There's a little tear that went down my face.
Oh, I can imagine. What a milestone, man. Like there's getting married and there's having kids, but then there's your kid beats a StarCraft computer. Like that's the real stuff right there.
I used to joke about it all the time, and I'm like, man, yeah, I can't wait to watch my kids play StarCraft and teach them. And what happens though is I'm watching them play StarCraft, and I'm screaming at them. I'm like, no, you're not making enough drones. You need more drones. What the hell are you doing? You got to be attacking. Pass, no, pass. No, don't attack before attack. Pass. And I'm like, I gotta stop watching him before I'm hitting him while he's playing.
Rise. You've raised a noob! What happened?
Dude, his APM is like 30. I'm like, no! You can do better than this. Get your hand back on the keyboard.
Hey, my APM is only like 50 when I play against comps, so that's not that bad. Oh, man. Well, your career has to start somewhere. Hey, he's still got, what do you say, he's 7, right?
Yeah.
He's still got 7 years left to win a championship to match Flash, So there you go.
Who was the player that was?
Or I guess Flash was 15, I think, when he won his first championship.
Yeah, but there was like that guy Baby, right?
Baby, yes, by Baby.
Yes, and he was playing when he was what, like 12 or 13?
I think he was 12. Yeah, and I think he was on. Was he on? I think was he on Nada's team? I think I felt like he was playing with Nada or something like that.
That sounds right. But that's my goal is, son, you need to beat by Baby. Like, you just gotta dominate this guy.
Become a programmer by age 11.
Yes.
I think Artosis used to joke about that too sometimes. That's funny though.
He's got like 4 or 5 kids, man.
I think I heard that. Yeah, I think he's got all kinds of kids. He's instead of his own StarCraft team, he's raising his own MOBA team.
Well, they are taking over the world, so that's probably a good strategy.
Yeah. Who knows what game your kids will become programmers at? Probably hasn't been
right now.
Yet.
I think it's going to be freaking Candy Crush, as far as I can tell.
Oh man, yeah, I remember noticing that you were. When Remastered came out, you did some casting back then. Is that right? Like 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was awesome. I was so excited, and that really got me back into it for a while after stepping away for a couple of years. I still watch games, but for whatever reason, there was a lot of hype around Remaster, and it was great seeing all those names get back into it. I started talking with guys like Nyokin again, and some of these other players that never really quit, and they were able to ride that second wave. And honestly, if you're checking out Brood War streams these days,
the second wave of StarCraft, not a second wave of anything else.
That's right. That's right. And if you look at the StarCraft section these days, there's a ton of people playing again, and it's usually, I don't know. I think Artosis is probably helping it a lot with his raging every time he loses to a Protoss player, but there's a lot of people who are starting to stream, and there's a lot of content out there to go after and watch.
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of amazing. Yeah, a lot of the old like USA StarCraft players are still like streaming and playing. G5 plays, Naokin plays, Future plays, Artosis obviously, and there's new guys as well. 80s Mullet, shout out to 80s Mullet who rated us earlier, is doing stuff. Yeah, I was talking in Naokin stream with them, and Doc Holiday does casting and stuff as well. So there's actually a lot of Brood War stuff going on right now, and there's a couple guys that are doing stuff on YouTube as well. I don't remember what their names are, but I know they exist. So it's kind of amazing. And yeah, it's kind of cool that like once Remastered came out, all the StarCraft 1 pros that were like had switched to StarCraft 2 because it was all they could really do were like, nah, let's go back to what we're good at. And like Bisu and Flash and Jaedong and like everyone just went back to StarCraft. And we had the Afrika Star League, and like you can go watch Bisu streaming. Like, and actually I think right now, let me just double check. Let me double check right here. Okay, he's not anymore, but earlier I got a notification that Boxer was streaming.
Wow.
It's a good thing he's not, because otherwise literally everyone in the chat would go leave and watch Boxer stream right now instead.
Sure.
Because
no offense.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, I would not take offense if someone left my stream for Boxer, but he's not online right now. So
yeah, when I started watching Brood War back in the day, I had to you could find replays when the replay system came out.
Yeah.
And that was the best you could do. And to see that you can watch pro gamers first person point of view for hours on end nowadays it's incredible, and it's awesome to see. It's connected people so much more, because I remember trying to, we made stories up for these guys. Dude, I watched Firebat Hero play, and I donated to him, and I'm like, dude, I love you, have no children, and he's like, Rise, oh, thank you, like I'm butchering this accent, but I don't know what accent that was, but dude, it was amazing. I was like, yes, my life's complete. I can check that off the bucket list. He said hi. He acknowledged my name at the very least.
Senpai acknowledged you.
That's right.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. I actually got to meet Firebat Hero once or twice. I worked with him. He was a caster at GOM briefly before I left GOM. So
awesome. Did you hug him and kiss him and fondle?
No, not all of those things.
Missed opportunity.
No. No, I mean, like, I don't think he speaks much English, and I didn't speak very much Korean, so I didn't really get to, like, chat with him or anything like that. But I got to, like, meet him at one point and say hi. So I think I might have told him I was a fan or something, but anyway. Yeah, it's kind of amazing that, like, I think Bisu streams, like, every day. So, like, any day of the week you can go on, again, not now because everyone's asleep in Korea, but, or maybe what is it? Yeah, it's like 4 in the morning in Korea right now or something like that. But like Bisu streams most days, Boxer streams, a lot of those best free. I don't think Stork streams, but like a lot of those guys are like streaming, and it's like the dream come true from the old days when like you got 10 seconds of their first person view when they switched over to that in the first 5 minutes of the MSL game. And you're going to be like, oh my God, they're so fast. And then it switched back to the observer view, and that's all you got to see.
Yes, and now you get to watch some crazy stuff too. Like, I don't know if you ever watched Do July. He's on YouTube and Twitch, and he's like a pro-level fastest map player. And, fastest map is one of those things that people made fun of back in the day. Like, oh my God, you play fastest map possible.
Yeah.
Dude, you ever watch somebody with 500 APM play fastest map, and it will blow your mind? Highly recommended. I can't stop watching the guy now because he just crushes, and he'll take people on, 1 versus 3. That's like a whole niche of Brood War going on that wow. I don't think people probably know about, but is totally worth checking out.
I never thought of that before. That's kind of crazy. Wow, I remember I played some matches like that on BGH back in the day. I actually played against one guy like a long time ago who who thought he was good enough, he challenged people to 1v2s on BGH, and I still beat him because he was like macroing and I rushed him. But
5 pool, man, never fails.
I don't even remember what, I think I might have been, I don't remember what happened, but he was tearing and he had 5 barracks and no units. So I was like, all right, I guess you just die. Which, you know, if I'd waited 3 more minutes to attack him, he would have killed me. But, you know, anyway. But, yeah, it's just the power of, someone at that level is just kind of amazing in those situations. But I never thought about that on fastest map. I can't believe that's a thing. Because, yeah, fastest map was just a joke back in the day.
You need to check it out. It's worth watching. Seriously.
All right. Zero is on Twitch? Oh, I'm going to have to find that. Oh yeah, that's the Africa Team League. They play the fastest map as like the ace match, I think, as well, or 3v3, something like that. Yeah, so they're actually playing that in the Africa League as well, the fastest map, which I saw that and I was like, really? But I didn't realize that it was a thing, that people were actually like playing it seriously now. So
yeah, there's some like clear strategy. Protoss clearly the best. They go for storm drops, take out your mineral patch. So it's like you're constantly defending from these just dives on your minerals. But if you can keep that protected, man, you've never seen 25 hatcheries making hydras.
I'm gonna have to check that out just for the spectacle, if for nothing else. So
awesome.
Oh man, good times. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before, and I think we'll probably want to get back into the match here in a second, but it's just kind of crazy that like we're living the dream that like we dreamed about 13 years ago. 13 years ago, we were like, wouldn't it be great if there was English casted professional quality tournaments that like were accessible around the world, and like pro players that we could like interact with around the world. And like we've got that now. We've got the Africa Star League with professional casting by Tastosis, and like we've got access to all these programmers. And it's like it took StarCraft 2 coming in and like creating a whole different sector of the fan base and almost ruining the Brood War esports scene for us to get through that and get to the promised land of Brood War.
But the future is here, and it is glorious.
It certainly is. All right. Well, I think with that said, I'm gonna go back to cast game number 4, but thanks to you so much for joining, Rise, and keep yelling at your kid to increase their APM and attack move. They'll be a pro in no time.
Dude, use your hotkey. Why are you not using your hotkeys?
Oh man. All right. Thanks for joining, man. I will catch you later. Let's not wait 7 years to voice chat again. How about that?
Whenever you're ready, man, I'm ready.
All right, cool. We'll hang out again soon. All right, yes. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to sign off and get back to game number 4, but I'll catch you later.
Take care, man.
Take care. All right. Let me sign off here. I don't know if it signed off or not. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and get back to game number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys are enjoying the special guests we're bringing in here. All the old school folks. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Gotta save some old school guests for the next time, right? Because hopefully we'll do this again. I think there's been enough interest in this cast that I think we're gonna be able to do this again sometime. And I just found some old VODs and stuff like that, so should be able to pull this off one more time at least. And now I won't have to spend several hours making up the screens again. I still will have to do all the maps and stuff like that, but still. All right, anyway, let's that was really cool chatting with Rise, but let's get back into the match, ladies and gentlemen. We got Jaedong up 2-1, and this is do or die for Stork right now. He has to win on Blue Storm. It's going to be difficult for him to pull off. It's not the easiest natural expansion to hold, but there are ways of doing it. So we'll see if we can pull it off. Oh, used for famous show matches. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, this is the site of multiple different show matches that were going on in that period of time, including, well, I guess it's a little sad to mention it, but one of the most famous ones was In Control versus Superior Wolf. That was on this map. But also the most epic grudge match of all, there was actually a show match between me and Diggity on this map as well. back in the day. So I have some fond memories of this map. It's definitely one of the cool ones. So let's go ahead and get into game number 4 and see if Stork can pull back from the brink of defeat and take it to a 5th and final game on Persona. Or if Jaedong can clinch it and go 3-1 and basically prove that he is not just an upstart, that he is the real deal. Because like I said, at this point in time, Jaedong has not exploded onto the scene yet. He has not won championships yet. This is his first time in the OSL. He's going for the Royal Road here. If you don't know, the Royal Road is when the first time you qualify for the OSL, you win it. And there's only been a few players ever to actually accomplish a Royal Road victory in the history of StarCraft. So Jaedong looking to join the ranks of, I think, Boxer was one of the only other ones. I forget who else did it. Maybe Nada. Maybe Savior. I don't know. Something along those lines. But there's only been a couple legendary players who have Royal Roaded, and Jaedong's looking to join them. Stork, however, like Diggity mentioned earlier, he's gotten 2 silvers and a bronze at this point. And, you know, he's been playing extremely, extremely well. He's been one of the dominant forces in esports in StarCraft in 2007, and this is the last tournament of 2007. He's hoping to close it out with the win to show that he is the real deal as well, and that he's not going to become the Neo Yellow and you know, just continually get second places. And again, remember, there's like $10,000 extra on the line too between first and second place as far as the winnings go for this tournament. So yeah. Anyway, let's get started here. We got game number 4. Jaedong is going to be the red Zerg in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. There he is. I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to move my mouth away from the mic to breathe and take a drink of water. And there we got the Dino Toss Stork in the top right-hand corner. Is he going to... Okay, it's just a pylon. I thought he was going to fast expand because I wasn't paying too much attention. But that is just his initial pylon. And he has got the SimCity worked out perfectly on this map for both spawn locations, I'm sure of it. Because like I said, this was not like a super new map anyway. And this is a map that he knew he was almost surely going to play on. So it's something you really want to practice. And because there's only 2 spawn points, and because there's not going to be different in every location like Fantasy, you can plan for it really well. So he's got that pylon in the exact perfect spot to make his wall off. It looks like he's planning on kind of walling across and then maybe using the Nexus to block around the pylon. Okay, yeah, so he's going to wall close to that ramp, put his forge down there. And again, this map has that little tiny choke point where Zerglings can come in on the side. So he has to plan his wall in a way that it has to defend from both sides. And I think he's basically planning on making it so that, making it so that the Nexus will be part of the blockade and maybe be blocking for the cannons or something like that. Which also means that the cannons will protect the Nexus. So there we go. The cannon goes down. And, you know, he has to do this. Obviously, he puts down the forge and then scouts. If he scouted that Jaedong had built a hatchery first instead of a spawning pool first, then he probably would have built a Nexus first instead of going for 2 cannons, actually. Very smart. He knows there's Zerglings on the way, and he knows they're going to have a speed upgrade as well. So he has to be extremely worried about this situation. It looks like his scouting probe died, and so he's actually sending another scouting probe around the long way around the map. He's not sending it through the middle, so that he doesn't get spotted by these Zerglings. Is it? Actually, no, it is going to get spotted by the Zerglings. The Zerglings are going to ignore it, though, and just continue for the attack, forcing Stork to make an extra cannon. He's actually building 3 cannons here. And this is a pretty good investment of these Zerglings. I don't think Jaedong is going to probably build any more Zerglings. He's built a couple more to chase around the scouting probe. It's going to try and block. And actually, are those 4 Zerglings in addition that he's made to the initial 6? I'm not sure if he brought some back. We'd seen that he'd actually taken drones off of gas for a bit, and now he's put 1 drone back on gas so that he can eventually get a lair. And it looks like he did make 10 Zerglings, so a significant amount of Zerglings with the speed upgrade, and so that's a very, very big threat. Stork needed to have 3 cannons, otherwise he could just get run by, or actually even with 10 Zerglings again 2 cannons, with the speed upgrade, I think he could probably just kill off the cannons as well, theoretically, depending on if there was probes there or, you know, how the setup was. So Stork playing very safe. Everything's on the line for Stork right now. His first championship ever is within his grasp. Well, actually, maybe not within his grasp, but it's within reach. he has to reach out for it and win this game to make it within grasp. But he's got an uphill battle to climb here. So Jaedong now getting his expansion. Again, he's forced Stork to play defensive, spend a lot of money. I mean, 3 cannons is more minerals than a Nexus, right? So by forcing him to build those 3 cannons, he's forced Stork to invest money in that. And obviously those cannons will still be... Oh my goodness, she's got rosary beads. She's praying for Jaedong to win. That's amazing. Anyway, he's going to be able to use those cannons in the future of this match, obviously, but in the meantime, he's forced to spend that money on cannons instead of on economy or instead of on attack units or anything along those lines. So I think things are going to end up pretty much about even. With Stork having spent so much money on defense, he's just now getting his tech up. Jaedong is actually free to take a 3rd base as well. I think it's smart that he's actually taking a 3rd base at the mineral-only expansion. I was talking earlier about how Zerg players often want to take that top left base in this position so that they can get a 3rd gas. But right now, I mean, especially given the fact that every single game, well, the last 2 games, we've seen Stork go out with, and the scouting probe's not going to get in there, so Stork getting kind of low on information at this point. I don't know if he even knows about the 3rd base, actually. So the Corsair coming out of that Stargate in a couple minutes is going to be crucial for him to get a scout off and see what's going on. Fortunately for him, Jaedong is not going for any kind of all-in break right now, which could have been a very valid strategy to get Hydralisk Den and just try and break him. You've got a nice ramp to come down on the right side where the Hydralisk can come down the ramp and attack and get out of vision if need be by going up the ramp. So it could have been a good opportunity for a break, but he's not doing that, fortunately for Stork. But in any case, so Stork is trying to scout, but anyway, yeah, what I was saying is basically it's smart of Jaedong to take the 3rd base at the mineral only because Stork has consistently been harassing with his early zealots and sending out zealots in multiple locations, especially because you can send a zealot to the top left and then you can also send a zealot through the small choke point in the middle. You can do multi-location harassment very easily on this map. So very smart of him to get that mineral only so it's closer so you can run Zerglings between the 3rd and the 2nd very quickly. And we're seeing Stork is actually building a Templar Archives in addition to Corsair, so we're seeing some Sair DT action coming from Stork. Classic Protoss versus Zerg play. Classic strategy, maybe you could say. And Jaedong getting the Spire, though. So he's opting to try and take air control again. And so we may again have a crucial moment where the Corsair count has not quite built up large enough that Stork has complete control of the air. And if Jaedong can get some Scourge out and kill off those Corsairs before they get into a critical mass, it will be catastrophic for Stork, and we'll see Jaedong win the OSL in its entirety. If he can pull that off. Will he be able to pull it off, though? It looks like he does have Hydralisk Den morphing on the side, so he's going to have the backup as well. So not quite clear yet if he's going to try and go for Air Superior or not. It looks like he's probably going to do what he did in the previous game, which was just, oh, is he going to be able to get a scout in? No, the pylon's going to stop him from being able to sneak in there. Well, the cannon, more or less, the thing that's doing more of a job of stopping him from sneaking a Zergling. But he does get a little bit of a view of that base, and oh, is he going to lose the Corsair? He loses his first Corsair. That is actually huge. You can't get critical mass of Corsairs if you lose them. So, yeah, not good for Stork to lose that first Corsair. I think he might have kept it around too long. He saw the Spire there, so I'm not sure why he was kind of kept that Corsair out. I mean, I guess he was running around trying to scout with it, but he lost it. Maybe he's just sacrificing these Corsairs and considering them scouting units. He does scout the Hydralisk, then he scouts a few Hydralisks, and he's trying to scare off the Overlord so that ZT can come here and get some drone kills. Gets one drone kill and escapes with his life. Is he gonna, oh, he's dancing back. Oh, an Overlord pops out at the perfect moment, actually, to spot that DT. The DT does survive. And again, he's just kind of like using the Corsairs like sheepdogs and trying to herd the Overlords away from spots that he doesn't want them in so the Dark Templars can get in there. But at the same time, there's Hydralisks, which are the hard counter to sheepdogs. I don't know what the hard counter to a sheepdog would be in real life in that metaphor, but either way, the Corsair is not able to accomplish enough, not able to move the Overlords away from critical points enough so the Dark Templar can actually do damage. And so he loses one Dark Templar, and in exchange takes one drone, I think. I don't think he did almost any damage there. Jaedong has taken a 4th base in the bottom middle of the map as well. So Stork, I think, is posturing to take a third at his mineral only, but, you know, this is a situation where Stork needs to start doing some damage, and the story of this entire matchup, the last two games, the first game obviously was a bit of a different situation than normal with this kind of crazy all-in lurker build that Jaedong had did. But the other two games that we've seen so far, the story has been Stork trying to harass in multiple locations, and Jaedong having the perfect answer for it every single time. And we actually do have lurkers on the map. A little bit surprised by that he went for the lurkers instead of just going for mass hydralists, but it's going to prove to be a good situation for him. The cannons are warping in here, but Stork actually doesn't have much of an army right now. He's been focusing on expanding and defending and teching. He's lost his Corsairs, and the Corsairs could have been Dragoons or Zealots or Dark Templar, and they're not. So instead, Stork's army is a little bit small, and so if he goes for a lurker bust off of 3 or 4 bases instead of 2, it might still be successful. Now Stork has gone in there and seen the morphing eggs, so he knows kind of what's going on. Stork trying again to do this harassment with the Zealots, running out this group of Zealots. And again, you know, part of that is he needs to have some control of the map. He needs to make sure that Jaedong is playing a little bit defensive and building some sunken colonies and guarding his bases instead of moving around the map and moving to posture to attack Stork's bases. And so that's exactly what these Zealots are accomplishing. Oh wow, this is interesting. So this lurker has been, I mean, there is a spot where you can go, the architecture of this map is such that there's that third base, and then there's a ramp leading up to that sort of high ground area in the middle-ish, and then there's also a sort of a lane, an alley going on the right side that we can see that lurker has gone all around, probably through the bottom into the alley lane. And actually Stork is going to try and bust this. I don't know if that's the best situation. The lurkers from behind are able to do massive damage. He does storm both the lurkers. They unburrow and get out of the storm, but he's going to have a second storm to finish him off, dealing some damage to the drones as well. Huge drone damage. He is actually going to bust in here after all. The sunken goes down, and Stork can now completely rampage this base. I don't know if Jaedong has the forces to do anything about this. He's been building this fourth base. He's been kind of putting lurkers around the map. I don't know what he has to deal with this. Okay, there is a significant group of lurkers coming in. So these units are trapped. There is no way they're getting out of that choke point with the lurkers crammed in that space. I don't think the High Templar there have enough energy to actually storm their way out of this situation. So this is going to be a loss of those units. But can he kill off the base in the meantime? It might have been a good moment for Stork to just right-click that hatchery, actually, and just try and kill off the hatchery instead of trying to posture around and fall back, because now he hasn't killed off that base, and the lurkers have been able to move in slowly and leapfrog their way into a situation where they can kill off those units, and he didn't lose the base, and that is actually really, really bad for Stork. He needed to kill that base off, because now we've got 4 base Zerg versus 3 base Protoss, which is, you know, not a terrible position to be in. Usually being 1 base behind a Zerg player is not that big of a deal. And he did kill some drones, so it's not super terrible. But if he'd been able to kill off that hatchery, which was also a production building, that would have been a really, really good situation for Stork. But instead, Jaedong has a third gas. That is the crucial thing about that base. It's his third gas, so he's able to get more lurkers out. He's able to get more high-tech units out as well. The Zerglings are pretty expendable, but the high-tech units, if you can make more of those with your minerals instead of expendable Zerglings, it's going to make it a lot better for you. Stork looks like he was trying to take the top middle base as well. Sometimes we see a diagonal divide, but in this case we're seeing kind of a left-right divide, which can also happen because the proximity of the top middle base is pretty close to the top right spawn, even though it's a long walking distance to get there. So sometimes you see that situation. Stork has opted to take the bottom right base instead, though. A large group of Zerglings coming in here. He's actually falling back with the Dragoons, trying to clump up here. A nice storm, nice. He kind of polishes off that Archon with the storm, but it doesn't matter because he gets a lot of Zerglings, a nice pool of blood to pay homage to the death of that Archon sacrifice. Looks like Stork sent in an attack force to the top left base, expecting there to be a base there, and there wasn't. So those Zealots are kind of just chilling up there now. He may try and run them into Jaedong's third base at the left side of the map, but it's very well protected. We have a Defiler Mound in play, ladies and gentlemen. And Zerglings, again, running in, doing some damage, killing off Dragoons, dying to the Zealots. But again, the Zerglings are kind of expendable at this point. And again, if we can look at the bottom right, again, it's a little fuzzy, so it's hard to see. But the bottom right of the map, the bottom right of the screen shows that we again have Stork with a little bit of a supply lead. It looks like 114 to 105. So Stork with a tiny bit of supply lead. Oftentimes the Zerg does play from behind, and it's not too big of a deal. Right now, Stork is basically Jaedong is trying to kind of keep Stork occupied with Zerglings, trying to keep him on the back foot, keep him from going in and finishing off that bottom base, keep him from attacking his expansion bases. Stork, in the meantime, is... Oh, no, he loses the observers. Oh, no. He had 2 observers, and he could not quite, he didn't have enough Dragoons. He couldn't quite get the observers on top of those Archons, and he loses both of the observers. He cannot maintain a presence on the map unless he has 1 or 2 more observers. Beautiful observer snipes with those Scourge. And now... this is actually a really bad situation. We saw Stork posturing in the middle of the map, trying to take map control and threatening kill off Jaedong's bases. And now it's kind of the other way around, where now Jaedong has map control. Stork has to lay back and basically not do anything on the map until he gets a couple more observers out. Here he is moving in. Dark Swarms go down, but the Zealots don't care at all. They're still going to be able to do full damage. The Archon's going to be able to do partial damage as well. It's only 2 Dragoons that are very ineffectual in this situation, and more swarms going down, but I don't think it's really going to change things. Storm has a huge effect, killing tons of Zerglings as well. Those Zealots walking through just rivers of blood that they've created and their High Templar compatriots created. These Lurfing Mortar A's are not able to morph in time to have an impact on this battle. Stork is pushing Jaedong back. Okay, here comes some more Lurkers in. These might be some... Oh, no, and he clumped them up. A huge storm kills off 2 of the Lurkers and severely damages 2 more. Jaedong is being pushed back right now. He is, however, doing slowly significant damage over this time, and he's kind of pushed Stork back to the middle. Stork just fighting with a skeleton crew, just maybe a dozen units at this point. There's only 1 observer there, and that's a little bit of a risky situation as well if Jaedong makes some more Scourge to try and snipe them. He's got Overlord speed, so he's got plenty to do that. And Overlord's just chilling next by Stork's natural. It's interesting. Oh, is he going to drop some Lurkers in the main? Oh, no! Stork doesn't really have any to deal with this. Oh, no, and he gets surrounded! The Lurkers burrow in the perfect spot around those Dragoons. The Dragoons actually just kind of crap walk to the side, and so they do dodge it, but the Zerglings are giving chase, and finally some Zealots do show up to reinforce. But I think this is only distraction. Was he dropping in the top right at the same time? They're not showing that, but I don't see much activity. I feel like they would have shown it. Nope, just Overlord's just chilling. Maybe it was actually meant to be a distraction. Maybe Jaedong's ploy to distract Stork did not work on Stork, but it worked on me, and I took the bait that Stork did not. And Stork didn't run his reinforcements back into his main to protect against the drop. Instead, he ran his reinforcements to the middle to protect his units, and that ended up being the better play. So those Overlords were just kind of chilling in the main, in Stork's main, and not doing anything. I got jebaited by Jaedong, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor. Jaedong now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. I can count to 5 at least. I've proven that today. Stork has not proven that yet. He's still only on 4 bases. It looks like he was thinking about taking a 5th in the top middle, but he hasn't taken it yet. Again, 4 base Protoss to 5 base Zerg is still a reasonable situation to be in. They're almost even in supply right now. Critically, though, Stork has a lot of money in the bank. He has a bunch of gateways. He's continuing to make units, but he needs to output that money into units. He needs to have a supply lead in order to start trying to threaten Jaedong's bases right now. It looks like he's at 150, coming up to 160 supply right now. So really sizable force for both players. Here he comes in. The Dark Swarms are going to be much more effective now that more of Stork's army is made of Dragoons. Dragoons attacking things under the Dark Swarm, in fact. Not a good situation, but there's a lot of Zealots there too. He's got observers in the air. Overlords flying in just to their deaths. Maybe, possibly, I think they might have just been grouped up with the other units. And they are soaking up damage though. Those Overlords, even though they are dying, they are taking up lots of disruptor shots from those Dragoons that are not going against the Zerglings, and in exchange, the Zerglings can get a surround on them. The Archon needs to get in there and do some splash damage onto those Zerglings. It looks like Jaedong is going to lose. He actually consumes an Overlord to get his swarm down. Not the best swarm, as those Dragoons were actually already falling back away from that location, but it's a security swarm to make sure that if Zealots showed up, he couldn't quite move in and attack either. So Jaedong pushing Stork out of the middle of the map, and both players losing a lot of supply, and this is critical. Stork now down to 100 supply. Jaedong has been doing much better macro job, and he's up to 120 supply. So Jaedong losing less in that battle, and maybe even losing more in terms of Zerglings, but the Zerglings again are mostly expendable. Jaedong has a lot of gas in the bank as well, and you can see why he's banking it up right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is an Ultralisk Cavern. As soon as that cavern pops, Jaedong is going to be making 5 or 6 Ultralisks. He's going to join them up with these Lurkers and Zerglings and Defilers, and they are going to be able to do massive damage. There's a Swarm going down. Plague as well. Plague going down on some of the Dragoons. Not a huge Plague, but it's enough that those Dragoons are going to be scared and have to fall back. And more High Templar are there as well. Stork, I mean, I think Stork just needs clutch storms. He needs so much good storms to destroy all these units. And there's one good storm going down, killing off a lot of Zerglings. I don't know if he can even actually afford to use storms on Lurkers at this point, especially with Dragoons. You know, Dragoons are easy enough to use. And look at this, he's actually built an entire group of cannons out of vision of that Overlord so that Jaedong didn't just run in there and kill the Nexus with a handful of Zerglings. So now he's got the cannons protected. He's trying to build that new base. And it's kind of a sneaky base because it's behind enemy lines. Jaedong has drawn that line of sand in the middle of the map. Oh, a nice play going down. The Archons are laughing at it, but the Dragoons are not feeling good about that at all. And, oh, beautiful storm taking out all those Zerglings. That could have been catastrophic for Stork, losing that just small handful of units. If he'd lost that to those Zerglings, it would have been really, really bad. He would have lost complete control. He needs to reinforce that, though. I don't know where his reinforce... No, he is going to get them caught out with the second wave of Zerglings. Oh, no. Where are Stork units? Does Stork have an army? Where he's at 90, I can't read them, but it looks like 80 or 90 supply. It's still trying to go out on the map. Nice storm again, taking out tons of Zerglings. He's probably gotten just 100 Zergling kills with just a handful of High Templar in this game because they've been doing such good storms on these Zerglings. But again, the Zerglings are expendable. The key is that Stork has not stopped the snowball from rolling down the hill. And this 5-base Zerg has continued to macro up and continue to tech up. And ladies and gentlemen, Jaedong doesn't have gas in the bank anymore, which means those Ultralisks are out on the map somewhere, which means those Overlords are probably filled with Zerg units. No, never mind. The Ultralisks are actually in the middle, so it looks like he's going to try and control the middle with the Ultralisks and maybe do a drop on that base at the same time. Here he comes in. Let's find out how full these Overlords are. Dropping out Zerglings everywhere. There's no AoE units. There's no Reavers to protect them. It's just cannons. And there's no Defiler at least, so the cannons are able to do significant damage. Stork is saying, alright, if your Zerglings are up there, I'm going to attack the middle. But the Dark Swarms go down. And Dark Swarms over Ultralisk is just a huge advantage. Stork is losing all of his probes in the top middle base. He's still going to have 4 bases after this, but it's really just a huge loss of resources to lose all of those cannons and all of those probes. Oh man, a massive amount of probes that he was able to get up into the top middle of the map. Jaedong has so many Ultralisks. This is insane. Jaedong has, it looks like 7 or 8 or 9 Ultralisks at this point. He's able to abandon that top middle base and leave just a few Zerglings there to finish off that base and rejoin the rest of his Zerglings to the main army. And you can see that line in the middle of the map, that diagonal line, has not been broken. And Jaedong has crossed back over a couple times. Stork has crossed over a couple times, but there's been, within a margin of error, no movement across that line in the middle. But this could be it. Jaedong coming in with a massive force. Huge maxed out Zerg army. The Storms are killing all the Zerglings, but the Ultralists don't care one bit at all. They're going in. Ultralists versus Archons under Swarm is going to devastate Stork's army. Stork is on the run, and Stork now with half the supply of Jaedong. Storms just cannot do anything to the Ultralists. They're so massive. They have such high armor, such high attack. A handful of Templars I don't think is going to do it. Where is Stork's army? He needs a huge army to come in and reinforce right now, but he doesn't exist. Storm's going down on all the units, but that is the last of the energy that Stork has. Ultralisk rampaging over Stork's third base, and if he loses that base and they continue on into the natural, it's going to be GG. There's just so many hit points. Just thousands of hit points at work in Stork's third base right now, killing off the morphing Archon. He's going to lose that third base, and oh, you can see it on Stork's face. He knows that there's basically nothing he can do at this point. Swarm's going down on his natural. It's going to be the nail in the coffin. There's the GG. And Jaedong has run the royal road, ladies and gentlemen. His first time ever in the OSL. and he can't even believe it himself. His coaches are rejoicing, but he just cannot even cope with it. He doesn't even know how to deal with just putting his head in his hands and like almost staggering out onto the stage just in front of this huge crowd, not even sure what's going on. This guy was not even someone who anyone knew his name 1 year ago, and now he is the OSL champion, beating arguably the best Protoss, maybe at very least one of the best few Protoss in the game in the finals. The Protoss who beat Flash, the Protoss who beat Bisu, and Jaedong says no, it stops here. I am the champion. I'm going to take you out, and I'm going to win the Royal Road and achieve my first Star League victory. Both players were looking for their first ever first place title, and Jaedong is the one that's going to go home with the mouse today, ladies and gentlemen. And there he is going out. I knew it was his mom. It's got to be his mom, right? There he is hugging her, and oh my gosh, it's sinking in what he's accomplished. It's sinking in what he's accomplished, and he just can't contain himself. He's covering his face, trying to hide his emotions, but he's just overwhelmed there, and just absolutely brilliant play. And again, you know, this is just such a beautiful moment for Jaedong to show off the power of the Zerg as well, because, you know, this is the style that we saw July Zerg pioneer when July Zerg was, you know, the dominant player not that long before this, and showed what the true Sauron style. And oh my gosh, they're gonna throw him in the air. Pro gamers trying to throw a pro gamer in the air. Oh, classic StarCraft. We can't forget that even in the midst of all of this pomp and circumstance and all of the production going into this, it's still a bunch of nerds, and that's why we love esports, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So just beautiful play. But yeah, we got to see the true power of Zerg, right? Jaedong, like I said, you know, you've known the Queen of Zerg, but he's the king, and we got to see Jaedong show off exactly what Zerg can do, and that's the Sauron style. It's the get a bunch of bases and be impenetrable and not let the enemy defeat you with its harassment, not let them slow you down. And once Jaedong got rolling, he was a steamroller, and he could not stop, and he was a steamroller made of ultralisks at the end of it, and there was just nothing Stork could do. I don't know if there's anything any Protoss can do against a dozen ultralisks with dark swarms, with plagues, with Zerglings to back it up, with just bajillions of units backing it up, and just ridiculous play by Jaedong, and he still can't even wrap his mind around it. So anyway, beautiful play. It looks like my VOD that I have, that I saved to a hard drive for some reason 13 years ago, is about to run out. So there's your final winner view there. Jaedong is going to take it. So yeah, there goes the VOD. And let's go ahead and, just for the sake of this, let's update this. And, oh, that's not the right one. Where's my banners? There's the banners. So we'll do the Jaedong banner for game number 4. And, wow, just absolutely amazing play. Just gorgeous play by Jaedong. And, yeah, I mean, that's just what you want to see in a finals, right? Just beautiful play. And, you know, it was beautiful play by Stork as well. Like, you can't even say that he made like any major errors. Like, what did he do wrong? He multitasked perfectly. He teched, he macroed perfectly. He went all around the map and did harassment at every single base of Jaedong's in every single map. And Jaedong just said, I'm too good for that. Your harassment can't work. Your attacks cannot phase me. And he defended every single thing that Stork threw at him until he got big enough to overwhelm Stork, and he did that basically 3 games in a row. After his really fun and clever lurker attack on the first map just didn't work out. And it could have worked out very easily, but so many things could have gone differently on this map. Especially, I'm thinking back to game number 2 on Katrina, when there was a moment where Stork had air control, and he was just barely at the point where he was going to have complete control. He'd been doing a brilliant job of harassing Jaedong, and Jaedong basically kind of went all in and built a bunch of mutas and a bunch of Scourge. And imagine if that went differently, if he lost those Scourge and the Corsairs killed the mutas. Jaedong has nothing left, and Stork has 2 bases to Jaedong's 2. I think Stork might have even been getting a 3rd base at that point. Stork wins game 2 in that scenario very easily if that one all-in air attack didn't work. Even if something as simple had happened as Stork had maybe target fired the Scourge with his cannons, or if he'd had an extra Dragoon around or an extra cannon or something like that to hold off the Scourge, and he kept his Corsairs alive, even just 3 or 4 of them, even just 2 or 3 of them, to combat the Mutalisks and hold things off along with the cannons, it would have been a very, very different story. So could have gone differently, but in the end, Jaedong takes 3 games after losing the first to Stork and is going to be the OSL champion. So, wow, GG, ladies and gentlemen. That was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that as well.